last week either. Sammy Garza will get the start for the Bombers, and for their thoughts on this development, let's go up to Chris and Den.
Thanks, Mark. Good afternoon, everybody. After Sammy Garza's brilliant relief job last week against Saskatchewan, there was a quarterbacking controversy of sorts in Winnipeg. The fans wanted Garza to get this start, and they've got their way.
You want him, you got him out there in Winnipeg. Garza getting the start today. The big thing and the big question is, how good of a starter is Garza? We know what a good reliever he is.
Well, he certainly did the job against Saskatchewan last week, leading 3 touchdown marches. This reminds me a lot of last year's Grey Cup game against Calgary when the Argos pulled a surprise and made Matt Dunnigan the starter today. Dunnigan's a surprise scratch. Did Winnipeg know long in advance, and are they trying to upset the Calgary defense?
Well, even if they did, I don't think Urban Bowman would have played his hand and showed it that early. That would have given Calgary enough time to prepare defensively for it. From a defensive point of view, they knew that they were going to have to get after Matt Dunnigan. In that case, I think they would much have rather seen a wounded Matt Dunnigan than 100% Sammy Garza.
First meeting of the year between Winnipeg and Calgary. First CFL start ever for Sammy Garza. Mark?
Chris, a wild night in the CFL last night. Ottawa moving into a tie with Hamilton for first, beating the Ticats handily. The BC Lions getting their 3rd straight win, beating the Argonauts. We'll have highlights on Live at the Half. The kickoff is next here in Calgary.
A pretty steady breeze will make the Bombers feel at home on a magnificent afternoon in Calgary with a summer-like temperature and blazing autumn colors in the foothills for the first meeting of the year between the Bombers and Stampeders at McMahon Stadium. And a victory for Urban Bowman's Bombers will create a 3-way first-place logjam in the Eastern Division. Wally Bono's Stampeders looking for a win to at least retain a share of first place in the West. Interesting matchup.
Extremely big matchup now, and also basically with the big change and maybe the curveball being thrown to the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, with Sammy Garza getting the start, is going to really see that this team, the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, has had a history of rallying behind Sammy Garza when he has been at the pivot.
Troy Westwood, who brings a 16 consecutive field goal streak into this game, is putting it on the tee, and as you can see, they're having a little trouble with these gusting winds. The Stampeders will have the wind advantage in the first quarter. As Westwood gets set to kick it off, Eric Mitchell and Pee Wee Smith are deep for the Stampeders, and this is Pee Wee. Up across the 35-yard line for Pee Wee Smith. And the Calgary Stampeders, a 20-yard kickoff return. No surprise at quarterback for the Stampeders today. It's Doug Flutie, number 2 in the CFL behind Kent Austin. The concern, Dan, the interception totals, he had just 24 all of last season.
21 up to date this year so far, and I think it's the point where Doug Flutie came in and tried to take on too much responsibility, learning a new system, learning a new receiver core, and it's starting to come together for him now, hopefully.
First down for the Stampeders. First play of the game, tipped over the middle, incomplete. Daryl Sampson had a shot at the ball. Alan Pitts was the intended receiver. Wally Bono looking for his 30th career win this afternoon.
Knocked down on the play.
Doug Flutie coming out early, trying to hit Alan Pitts, somebody that is a game breaker, somebody who wants to make something happen. Urban Bowman taking over from Cal Murphy, trying to establish his own identity over there. I have a team of the Winnipeg Blue Bombers.
It'll be 2nd and 10, and Flutie will work out of the shotgun and a 6-pack receiving core. And the Bombers are coming. Flutie puts it in the air. Pitts had been held up by Sampson, but there's no flag. And 2 quick incompletions for the Stampeders.
This Winnipeg defense looks like a Winnipeg defense of old. They are getting intimidating. They pin their ears back. They send linebackers. They send halfbacks. They get after you a lot, but it feeds and goes right into the kind of play that Doug Flutie does. He says, let the blitzing come. He can avoid it. Telling the receivers, continue on your patterns, work to get open, and I'll get the ball to you.
Tony Martino going to work early today after just the 1 punt last week, and on that punt, the Bruja with the rocket. There's a block punt. Broad Hill blocks it. Daryl Corbin, who had a touchdown on a block last week, in the end zone. It looks like the Stampeders are back on the ball, but kept 3 times last week for a CFL record. Winnipeg blocked Kent, and they do it on the first kick of this game.
What a big turnaround by this Winnipeg specialty team. Urban Bowman had spoke earlier as we talked to him yesterday, the fact that he was happy with 3 out of the 4 calls, and then we've got a late flag here at the line of scrimmage. Let's wait and hear the call.
Offside, Winnipeg number 38, third down repeated.
That's Daryl Corbin, and it wipes out what would have been the 4th block kick in 5 quarters.
Penalty moves the ball to the Stampeder 42. It's 3rd down and 5 now.
Rod Hill was the man who got his hand on the football, and he leads the CFL all time with blocked kicks, 8. Martino barely got that away. Larry Thompson, the lone man back. And a great kick by Martino with an even better bounce. Thompson trying to draw the no yards, won't do it, and concedes the single point. So what could have been disaster for the Calgary Stampeders is wiped out by an offside call, and instead the other way, 76 yards. A single for Tony Martino, and here comes Sammy Garza and his first CFL start.
People in the West getting to see Sammy Garza for the first time out here, and it will be interesting to see. Not only does he get the call as a start, but he gets the call going out there, trying to conduct and run this offense going into a very, very brisk win.
Sammy Garza, a 4-year CFL veteran, waited a long time for this. His first pass is dropped by Larry Thompson, who has been the most reliable receiver for the Bombers this season. No, we talked to Matt Dunnigan about Larry Thompson yesterday. Really excited by Thompson's speed and 7 touchdowns so far this year.
He nicknamed and told him that he could be a game breaker here. 42 catches for 828 yards already. Tied for 2nd in the CFL, as you said, with 7 TDs.
2nd and 10. Flags down. The Bomber receiver on the far side was offside. Pass goes incomplete.
Garza's pass was intended for number 79, Rob Crefo. There is a flag down.
That was Crefo at the top of the screen. He was trying to get that run like Ray Elgart does out of the Saskatchewan Roughriders, trying to get a good run, timing the snap absolutely perfectly, and get a little jump on the
Illegal
defense.
procedure. Winnipeg number 79, declined, third down.
Crefo was the intended receiver, and he got off the line with a false start, and there's an injured Bomber down on the field, and that looks like David Black, the right guard. So Tony Martino's 76-yard single, the lone point here early at McMahon. Welcome back to McMahon Stadium. Chris Cuthbert, Dan Kipley, Mark Lee, and the CFL on CBC crew here in Calgary, where the Blue Bombers are forced to punt for the first time. Bob Cameron getting set to kick into a breeze, and nobody does it better than him, but we noticed, Dan, before the game, both kickers having trouble from this end kicking into that wind.
Calgary, without a doubt, should have the return on and should get excellent field position. Bob Cameron has probably, as anybody in this league, had more practice at kicking the ball into the wind as long as he's been in the Winnipeg organization.
And he gets a good kick away. Pee Wee Smith, and a shade from that bright sunshine, gets across the 40-yard line.
A 42-yard.
Both teams involved in brouhahas last week, and already Mark Dubé and Brendan Rogers come out of that pile pushing, but nothing comes of it. And here is a lineup we've grown familiar with in Calgary. Not many changes. Eric Mitchell remains the running back in place of the injured Keevan Jenkins.
Lots of weapons out there to throw the ball to. Very important for Mitchell to have a good game up front, and these are the guys that will enable Mitchell and Flutie to have a good game. They need to be able to run the ball against a very intimidating Winnipeg defense.
In talking to Doug Flutie yesterday, he said this is not the kind of defense you're going to run ball control against. Here's Andy McVeigh. And Andy McVeigh has had his share of publicity this week in the wake of the Rocket Ruckus.
Almost 4 yards up near the 45-yard line.
And he is always in the middle of these kind of things. Last year he was kicked out of a game against Winnipeg because of a fight. He says, I got that hockey mentality. I'm always going to go to the aid of a teammate.
He likes to mix it up. It's a good thing there's not any penalty boxes here. He'd have a pack of a suitcase and a picnic basket full of food because he'd be over there most of the time.
McVeigh had 4 at 2nd and 6, and Flutie drops back over the middle, has a completion to Dave Sapungis, and the Canadian receiver has the football in Winnipeg territory at the 49-yard line. Let's take a look at the defense that this Stampeder offense is working against, and it's a top front seven.
Without a doubt, could be one of the best front sevens in all of the CFL, led by the middle linebacker, James West, number 58 there, 35 years old, and doing it as good as he's ever done it.
The winners in the CRC move of the
in the
game.
back end, they're very, very steady, very solid in the thing, and they should have the test today against a guy like Doug Flutie.
It was an 18-yard gain for Dave Sapungis. First down for the Stampeders. Give to Mitchell, right up the middle, and Eric Mitchell has another Calgary first down at the 34-yard line. The running back out of Oklahoma State.
He rumbles for 15 yards.
And Wally Buono's Calgary Stampeders seem to be trying to establish a running game here early.
Right off the left side behind Big Romano and Covington, and this is just to get in the face, one-on-one blocking. I'm better than you, I'm tougher than you, get him out of the way, create the opening, and there's where Mitchell comes in, picks up the big game.
15 yards and a first down for the Stampeders. And Flutie almost picked off by Rod Hill, the intended receiver, Derek Crawford.
Intended for Derek Crawford. Rod Hill was there.
Rod Hill, just an incredible corner on the thing. Some of the quickest feet that you'll see in the CFL. Made the break on the curl, coming back in, was able to make a good cut on the ball, get up underneath there, and almost came up with another interception.
It's been a good quarter for the Stampeders this year. A stingy one for their defense as they've outscored the opposition considerably. This has been their best quarter of football of the 4 this year. Flutie again, second down, working against Hill. That's up for grabs, and Hill, who is one of the all-time leading interception men, couldn't pull it down.
Derek got to play defensive back on Rod
Flutie
Hill.
so far has not looked very comfortable back there throwing the ball. He has thrown the ball well, but he has thrown the ball off balance, upfield, and they've been able to complete some passes. That thing, he got tremendous heat off of this Winnipeg defense, and this is the kind of defense you're going to get. That's why you cannot do ball control against these guys. These are very gambling defense. You can either make tremendously big plays or you can take a few elbows in the mouth.
So the leading scorer in the CFL, Mark McLaughlin, to attempt a 41-yarder. He's made just 3 of 12 from outside the 40 this year, but no mistake there for McLaughlin. And the Stampeders up their lead to 4.
1-2-5 field goal.
Really a glorious day in the foothills. The Rockies to our west. And the Stampeders off to an early lead here against the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. And Sammy Garza starting at quarterback in place of the injured Matt Dunnigan, sitting down for the first time this season. Garza hands the football off to Michael Richardson, who made such a big impact in his first game with 197 yards rushing against Hamilton. Here's Mark Lee.
The ball carrier.
Chris, Matt Dunnigan has been called the glass quarterback, missing half of the last 2 seasons with Toronto. He's out for the first time with Winnipeg, and the Bombers team physician, Dr. John Peterson, is with me now. Dr. Peterson, just how serious is the injury situation?
Well, he has several nagging injuries from previous games that haven't healed, and we thought it'd be best to give him a week off and let them heal.
So 1 game, and he'll be back next week at home against Calgary?
We're hoping so.
And David Black, the status of his right ankle?
Just a minor sprain of his ankle. He should be back in.
Okay, let's go back upstairs to Chris.
Thanks, Mark. Rob Prefo with a reception and a first down, but there is a flag, and I think Garza took a late hit.
Major foul, roughing the passer, Calgary number 96, first down.
Sreko Zizakovic took a shot at Garza after he delivered the football.
The ball's released. Just a little push, I guess, and they're really trying to protect the quarterback. Just a questionable call. But again, at this time, that Calgary defense wants to let Garza know that they're coming after him and they're close and they're trying to intimidate him early in this game.
That moves the ball into Calgary territory at the 45. Richardson right side, gang tackled after a short gain, and once again, a penalty marker is down.
There is a flag down.
And things are heating up. What's going on in the CFL? Everybody's grizzly these days, Kep.
Everybody can afford cable television. They got WWF wrestling in there, and that's what it looks like.
Tell you what, there's some guys that could be candidates for the WWF out there.
Holding. Winnipeg number 60. First down repeated.
Well, that's the center, Dave Van Conant. How about the size of this offensive line? They average 6'5", 280. That's the average size. Chris Walby, 6'7", 305 at right tackle. Miles Gurrell, 6'8", 290 at left tackle. First and 20. Garza on the roll, and Gerald Alphen drops the ball, and that is an unusual occurrence. They're really excited about Alphen in Winnipeg.
This is a tremendous guy. I mean, he is an absolute pure athlete. Catches the ball. He's a great team guy. Leads by example. Was timed when he first started with the Dallas Cowboys. He was timed at 4.3 on the computer down there, which is absolutely blazing speed. So it'll take him a while to get into this system also, but you got to catch those kinds.
Played 4 years earlier in his career in the CFL, 3 1,000-yard seasons for Gerald Alphen. They tried the draw, and the Stampeders weren't buying any of it. Second and 20, and Matt Finley, the linebacker, moved up and had plenty of help to bring down Michael Richardson. Matt Finley, the Stampeders' top Canadian a year ago. So the holding penalty takes them out of really scoring position, and Bob Cameron comes back in for his second punt against this win. Pee Wee Smith is deep. Dave Sapunjas is also back. And once again, Cameron delivers a great kick, and Pee Wee Smith has trouble with it. Loose ball in the end zone. Bombers have it. Touchdown. James West.
James West is there to recover.
What was that Wally Buono was saying about being a little concerned about the punt returns this year?
That was the one thing that he said. Like I said, he was happy with 3 of the 4 specialty teams. His punt return teams was one that he wasn't. I don't think that Smith at that time really felt that Cameron was going to be able to kick the ball that far, and when he went back looking for the ball over his shoulders, may have lost it up in the sun. And there's a great story right there. James West at 35 years old, being one of the first guys down there, hustling himself off to get down there and recover that. He just is just a tremendous leader for the Winnipeg.
Troy Westwood adds the extra point. James Wild West has the touchdown. Has put the Bombers ahead 7-4. And I do think Pee Wee had a little trouble in the sun. I don't know.
Didn't look like, because he was looking over the right-hand side. He had it shielded off a little bit. Didn't play center field very well. James West really struggling and fighting to get in there, and comes up with the big turnover and a big touchdown.
We had a great chat with James yesterday. An 11-year veteran, 8 years in Winnipeg, and
congratulations.
He thinks he's having his best year ever.
Well, the one thing about James that he's blessed with is just absolute pure natural speed. And then the one thing that he hasn't lost anything of is his speed. You can work on your strengths, you can get you stronger, but as you get older, particularly as a linebacker and as an active linebacker, as James
Barry, back in Winnipeg.
There he is, talking to people back home.
My grandmother in Fort Worth.
Is there anybody else, James?
Kicking off for the Blue Bombers from his own 35-yard line.
What I want to know is, you retired when you were 31. He's going to be 36 in December, and he's still going.
That's my hat's off to him. I look up and now James West is my hero. To be able to play it, not only to be there, not only in body, but to be there the way that he is there and contributing every play and playing specialty teams and not only playing the defense is a tremendous compliment to that guy.
Eric Mitchell had some trouble with the football too, and I think that son is a factor. He shied away from the ball as well. Whatever it is, the Stampeders are really on their back heels right now as we join Mark Lee.
Well, Chris, the Rocket Ruckus in Toronto last week got all the attention, but it wasn't the only brawl. They got into it in Winnipeg. The Bombers against Saskatchewan. There were 7 players ejected from that game, that late game brawl. One that Urban Bowman, the Winnipeg coach, said was disgusting. He thinks that this can be nipped in the bud if the officials get control of the game early. Call penalties early. Don't let it get out of hand. He says this isn't hockey, it's football.
7-4. Bombers have the lead. An out pass. And Flutie misses Derek Crawford, the intended receiver, and that's the 3rd straight pass.
Second down and 10.
Over on Rod Hill's side, and it appears that Flutie is just making his adjustments to this breeze in the first quarter.
But Flutie's coming back and he's motioning, he's talking with Crawford on the way back in. Obviously, Crawford ran the wrong route at that point. Doug was expecting him to come back in underneath a little bit, and Crawford ran just that little hitch route that Doug had to throw the ball almost 35 yards across the field.
2nd and 10, and Flutie out of the shotgun. Carl playing, and that bounced off his pads.
Doug Flutie's pass intended for number 85, Carl Bland.
And Wally Bono's team off to a slow start here offensively.
Come on, let's go, man.
Doug Flutie 1 for 7 to open this football game. Wally stressed yesterday that the focus of the week was supposed to be Winnipeg, not the Rocket, but everybody wanted to talk about the Rocket incident.
Well, the thing is, letters have been sent, apologies have been made. The last nail's in the coffin. Forget it. File it in the trash can and let's get on with it, because basically the most concern right now that Calgary has is that other team across on the other side of the field.
Martino got that one away well. Bumped out of bounds, Matt Pierce. 6 minutes, 16 seconds left, first quarter. And Urban Bowman's Bombers have a 7-4 lead. A 48-yard punt by Tony Martino.
Big thing that has to be positive right now, thinking with Urban Bowman and the offense, is that they've actually are actually scoring points going into the win. And in a very short time, that win's going to turn and they're going to be able to take it.
That's a good point. And in fact, what was remarkable about last week's relief job for Garza is that he put 3 touchdowns on the board against a 60-kilometer-an-hour wind. And Garza has a completion over on the right side to Frank Pillow.
Number 85, Frank Pillow.
Playing just his 3rd game. He tore up a knee in the season opener against the Hamilton Tiger Cats.
2nd down and 6, Winnipeg.
Winnipeg knows right now, going into this win, they have to be very selective with their play selection at a point of just being able to pick and choose, not trying to move the ball that far down the field, deep pass or nothing, but just dumping it off and trying to run to establish it a bit and slow that Calgary defense down.
On 2nd and 6, it's Richardson out in the flat, breaks the tackle, and is up to the 48 with a first down for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. Alondra Johnson, the leading tackler in the CFL,
he
came up with that tackle.
Yards before being brought down by Alondra Johnson.
That's number 59 on the year for last week's Defensive Player of the Week.
Sliding the coverage out there, Garza's got plenty of time, just allowing Richardson to slide out of the backfield. The man one-on-one coverage coming out the flat would be Alondra Johnson. Alondra using some of that 4-5 speed. Wally Bono talking about his acceleration factor is incredible. When he takes his first step, he is almost in full speed by the time he hits his second step.
Well, Will Johnson, last year's Western Defensive Player of the Year with a big tackle there. Help from Harold Hasselback on Michael Richardson, limiting the gain to short yardage. In fact, where they mark it, he may have lost a foot or 2.
Will Johnson not quite as a big a point of the defense as he was last year, where last year he played half of the season at the weak side end. Most of the time, the offenses, as far as the quarterbacks, are looking to the wide side or the right-hand side, and Will Johnson was able to get more activity and get more sacks last year. Plus, last year, he was a fella that wasn't quite noted, and now
violation. Winnipeg number 9, 2nd down repeated.
And after he established himself last year, teams are looking to him more, and they are blocking him and really are rising up to the occasion to the challenge of blocking on Will Johnson.
Another rookie, at least the starting quarterback for the first time, called on a time count violation. It's now 2nd down and 16. Pressure on Garza, and he gets rid of the ball over the head of Larry Thompson. Junior Thurman was all over him, and Tim Cofield was supplying pressure on Garza.
Thurman was there defensively, and up front, Some pressure put on by Tim Cofield. Third down, 16 Bombers.
4 minutes, 13 seconds to go, first quarter. Neither offense really untracked yet. It's 7-4 Bombers.
You've got Richardson trying to block Cofield, an absolute mismatch right there. Cofield showing those good, quick feet, alluding to getting inside, getting away from the block, and getting up in Garza's face and forcing him to throw that ball under pressure.
Last time Bob Cameron kicked the ball, Pee Wee Smith mishandled it, and it resulted in a James West touchdown. That went off the side of his foot. Flag is down. Smith took it away from Sapunjas, and he's down quickly by Leon Hatziano. We'll sort out the penalty when we return to McMahon Stadium in Calgary.
36-yard punt by the Bombers.
Back at McMahon Stadium, where they tacked on a 10-yard holding penalty against the Stampeders, and they will start from just inside their 20-yard line. Doug Flutie off to a slow start this afternoon with his Calgary offense. Somebody jumped the gun. And Flutie said this is a Winnipeg defense that can take you out of
procedure. Calgary number 59, still first down.
Rocco Romano jumping there, but Flutie said this is a team that can get you out of your rhythm offensively.
The Calgary defense, they show you a lot of formations. They're jumping around. They're very active with West and Battle and also Randolph moving around in and out of the line of scrimmage, and Doug Flutie trying to take as much time as he can, trying to call the exact audible that he wants to see.
1st and 15 in the flat, completion to Pitts in front of Bobby Evans. And for Alan Pitts, it's catch number 51 on the season.
2nd down and 7.
Pitts getting good movement off there, and then there's where the separation occurs. When the contact with Evans starts, little pushing and shoving, and as soon as Evans tries to give him that shove, what it does is creates the separation in the cushion so that Pitts is able to continue on his outbreak and give Flutie a little more room and a little more time to throw the ball to him.
Just a short gain on the play, though, and it's 2nd and 7. Flutie has time, looking in that flat again for Carl Bland, but it's tipped away. And once again, Tony Martino has to come on. Donald Smith was providing the defensive coverage for Winnipeg.
3 receivers to the wide side. Flutie came out, sprinted out to the left-hand side. They blocked up Pitts, the slot back. It was just a one-man route. And then as soon as Carl Bland broke to the out coverage, Smith was all over it, made a quick move on the ball, and was able to almost pick it off. He knocked it out.
Tony Martino has run with the football out of this formation 3 times this year, but says he's less likely to do it against Winnipeg because they're coming hard.
Good kick.
Larry Thompson at his 35-yard line. Flags down on the clip. And Thompson taken down out of bounds.
Tony Martino's punt.
Aaron Ruffin was down first for Calgary, and he was blocked from behind.
Flags down.
Here's Mark Lee.
Chris, Stampeder fullback Andy McVeigh received a personal letter of apology from Rocket Ismail for his ugly kicking incident last week, and Andy says he's ready to bury the hatchet and put the incident behind.
Well, the Rocket's contributing $10,000 to a worthwhile charity, Special Olympics, and that's a very good thing. I'm glad to see something positive come out of it. A couple players got fined, but it wasn't a very good situation. This sort of thing shouldn't happen in the CFL. And now it's all been done, checks have been written, and it's time to move on to a battle today.
There's a pass that should have been picked off by safety Greg Knox. Andy McVeigh looking on. It's his 100th career CFL game. But that ball was up for grabs, and it looked like 2 Stampeders were fighting over the football. Yep.
A lot of heat up front by the Calgary Stampeders. Garza just does not look very comfortable back there right now, and he forced to threw it up into the middle. Greg Knox made an excellent move on the ball, but Ken Watson was covering one-on-one, and they just kind of ran into one another, knocked each other off the play.
2nd and 10. Garza rolling out, and he'll run with the football. Alondra Johnson got the first shot on him, and now he's finished off after a pickup of 4.
Garza, the ball carrier for the Bombers. He takes it just over the 30-yard line.
And once again, a punting situation as Alondra Johnson
Johnson did a great job this time. As Garza comes out there, they're covering. They got good coverage downfield. Johnson is allowing Garza to come up and get past the line of scrimmage. Once he gets past the line of scrimmage, the acceleration that Johnson did to close the distance in and make the tackle on Sammy Garza and to stop him cutting back in, stop him short of the first down, forcing the punt. Good play by A.J.
Bob Cameron on 3rd down. Driving punt. And Pee Wee Smith. Brought down at the 32-yard line. As we take a look at the standings in the East Division, Ottawa with that big win last night at Ivor Wynne made it a tie for first place, and the Blue Bombers could make it a threesome at the top should they win here today. In the West, Edmonton playing Saskatchewan today, and Calgary hoping to keep pace with whatever the Eskimos do today, while the Rough Riders could make it a three-way race for first in the West with a victory today. Here's Doug Flutie on 1st down, again under pressure, puts it up, and Alan Pitts couldn't bring it down.
Doug Flutie's pass intended for number 18, Alan
Paul
Pitts.
Randolph was blitzing from his linebacking position that time.
Smith and Kyle
And
Hall.
Flutie may have forced that pass a little.
2nd down.
Randolph came from the outside, absolutely scot-free, got his hands up, and Doug Flutie threw that ball as he was ducking. He threw it up for grabs, almost as Pitts came up, almost with a circus catch, but the defenders were all around it. That ball was floating, particularly in this wind.
Well, the wind's a factor, but I get the impression even without the breeze, this is going to be a defensive struggle this afternoon. Both defenses shining early. Flutie on 2nd and 10, and Pee Wee Smith behind everybody and just missed him.
Flutie's pass intended for Pee Wee Smith.
Pee Wee hasn't been that open since last year's Western Final in Edmonton in the final minute.
And almost the same type of play as it was, as Flutie came out there, sprinted out to the left. Pee Wee came back, made the little out move, held up Smith on the corner. He broke down, stopped his momentum, and then Pee Wee just absolutely accelerated by him, broke to the post, and was wide open. Doug just didn't have time to get the ball out there to him.
Well, Tony Martino almost had last week off, but he's been busy here in the first quarter. Flag is down. Larry Thompson down to the 43-yard line, and we'll sort out this penalty.
By Tony Martino, a 7-yard return by Larry Thompson to the Bombers.
Winnipeg's offside.
1st down and 10, Winnipeg.
And Calgary will likely kick again, but it's interesting, a considerable wind advantage, Dan, but Bob Cameron has been kicking even up with Tony Martino in this first quarter.
Offside. Winnipeg number 10. 3rd down repeated.
Rod Hill trying to get the jump once again.
Rod, once you get a little taste of that ball defensively by blocking the first punt that took place, he thinks that he can get another. And maybe he sees something that we don't see up here, and that maybe that Calgary coverage team is giving him out there. And he's got tremendous speed once he gets off the line of scrimmage. If he sees just a little crease and a little crack of sunlight, he may make something happen.
Martino gets it away. Better kick. And it's Matt Pierce inside his 20. Loose ball. Who's got it?
A 55-yard punt.
Anxious moments now for Urban Bowman.
And recovered.
Stamps have the football. So it was Calgary that gave it up early on a mishandled punt. Now the Bombers do likewise.
A fumble recovered by number 14, Aaron Ruffin.
Going to the breakout, baby. All the way, number 1.
That's Aaron Ruffin who came up with the fumbled football as Matt Pierce mishandled the punt, and now Doug Flutie has the Stampeders in scoring position on the 15-yard line. Flutie just 2 for 11 to start this game. As has a reception there. Pee Wee Smith inside the 5, close to a first down before he stepped out of bounds.
Pee Wee Smith. A gain of close to 10
And there's
yards.
Matt Pierce thinking about the ball he could not control deep in his own zone.
When it comes down to it right there, the punt return team, again, was something that concerned Urban Bowman. It's pure concentration and a lack of concentration right there. This is a sure-handed kind of fella that needs to be back there recovering this thing to catch the punt. And in that case, it didn't take place.
And they'll sneak for the first down.
Straight up the middle for a Stampeder first
Flutie
and
needed
goal.
only about a foot, and it almost is a free play inside the 5 for the Stampeders, who get the first down.
When it's second and only a foot with a guy like Doug Flutie back there, it really scares you. Defensively, you can't really start pinning your ears back and pinching down, playing for that quarterback sneak, or just that straight dive handoff, because Doug Flutie is capable of doing a lot of things once that ball gets snapped to him.
I like Durbin Bowman's comment yesterday when we asked what concerned him about Calgary. He said 3 things: Flutie, Flutie, and Flutie. And Flutie and the Stamps have a first down inside the 3. Andy McVay near the goal line, but short.
Make the goal line. It'll be second and goal.
It's pretty tough down there with the linebacking core of West and Battle, Randolph and Baker. Mike Gray, Von Booker up front with Stan Mikowes. Second down and 1 as the Stampeders try to regain the lead. Andy McVay, touchdown, Calgary.
Coming right off the right side behind Kenny Moore and Cavazza. There, he just collapses it down, and McVay with that power lowers the shoulder, turns it upfield, wide open, falls into the end zone for a big score after the turnover.
That takes a little of the sting out of the $250 fine McVay absorbed this week. Mark McLaughlin to add the extra point. He puts it through, and with just under 2 minutes gone in the second quarter, Calgary's back on top. Fall football at McMahon Stadium in Calgary on a beautiful Sunday afternoon. And the Stampeders up by 4. Andy McVay looked like he took a shot to the kidneys, was getting some attention. Here's a short kick attempt. We saw a lot of that last night in Vancouver. And this one goes out of bounds, and it appears the Bombers will retain possession, but there is a flag down.
Traveled 22 yards. There is a flag on the play.
Just a 23-yard kickoff. 4 or 5 short kick-off attempts last night in BC as the
Illegal
Lions.
kickoff. Calgary number 13, declined, first down.
Come here.
Well, I'm not sure why that was illegal, since it did travel 22 yards, but there are the first quarter stats.
Very, very balanced game right now. The reason I don't think on that kickoff that the ball was touched by the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, and as it went out of bounds, that they decided to just take the ball at the spot where it did go out of bounds.
They do have that option, and here's Michael Richardson. Left side, fumbled the football. And did Calgary's Tim Cofield get a hand on it? It looks like Winnipeg maintains possession. And those first quarter numbers we saw indicate that the defense has had the upper hand so far, but here's a 20-yard gain by Richardson.
First and 10.
Right there, one of the things that the Calgary defense has been susceptible to is the fact that they've been able to be rushed against. The Edmonton Eskimos had success running the ball against them, and with this kind of defense being able to pin their ears back, getting upfield, allowed traps and counter plays, as in that case, to take place. Richardson made a big gain out of it, fumbled the ball, but it did go out of bounds. Winnipeg retained possession.
First down, Garza rolling, right side, Creepo, completion, knocked out of bounds at the 30. And that's a pickup of 7 before Kenton Leonard knocked him out of bounds.
Guards are very, very patient coming out there. Lots of room. And when you talk about room, this is a heck of a target. 6'6", 230 pounds. That's a lot of target to try to be throwing the ball downfield to. Grifo is an excellent receiver.
It's second down and around 3 yards to go. Give to the first man, Warren Hudson, and he has the first down and plenty to spare. Last week on a third down gamble, Hudson went 38 yards for a touchdown against Saskatchewan.
Just really strong, powerful inside rusher. 6'2", about 230 pounds or so. And the first guy that he hits coming through that line is Darryl Hall, the relocated defensive back to outside linebacker. And it's a bit of a mismatch because that's a load when you're getting it up in the middle of the hole.
Bombers threatening, first down. Garza, end zone, and he overthrows the intended receiver, Gerald Alphin.
Intended for number 86, Gerald Alphin. It falls incomplete.
Alphin just in his second week here with the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. Last week he ran a wrong pattern, and Matt Dunnigan was intercepted. And after the game, Alphin said, that interception was my fault. And we talked to Matt yesterday, and he was impressed that a receiver would go public with something like that to take the heat off the quarterback. But it's an indication of the kind of receiver Gerald Alphin is.
It states a major statement concerning the character of that receiver and the way that he is such a team player.
Garza in the end zone again, and this one falls to the turf. Michael Richardson was the intended receiver in the end zone.
Matt Finley defensively.
And that will bring on Troy Westwood, hoping to extend his consecutive field goal streak to 17. And we're going to watch Troy because as he gets ready, apparently he likes to show a little emotion to let Bob Cameron, the holder, know that he is indeed set to go.
The 25-yard field goal for the Blue Bombers.
Wind shouldn't be a factor here for a 25-yard attempt.
When you get to some of those kickers right there, a lot of them have linebacker mentalities, and they like to get excited and get into the game also.
Spot's good. And so is Westwood. It's 17 in a row.
Mark makes it 17 field goals in a row for Troy Westwood, improving on his Bomber record, the old mark of 14, of course, held by longtime kicker Trevor Kennard. Here is the beginning of the streak. August 6th in Ottawa. Westwood splitting their uprights. 17 in a row. That ties him now with Dave Ridgway. The next mark of 18 straight held by Don Sweet. Chris?
Well, Mark, they all haven't been as easy as that one either. Last week, Westwood hit from 47 and 55 yards out, so the streak is a very impressive one. And it's a one-point game here at McMahon Stadium. Calgary leading it 11-10.
And it's a tremendous compliment to Westwood out there as far as the fact when you come in from being on a team that has had a lot of veterans and you have a guy like Kennard that has been there forever and ever and ever, and you have to replace him. There's a tremendous amount of pressure that you don't really sense, and for him to go out there and to perform the way that he has is a tremendous asset and tremendous compliment.
Andy McVeigh goes straight up the middle.
Andy McVeigh, the touchdown scorer for Calgary, with that carry right up the middle for short yardage. The CFL record, 23, held by Dean Dorsey in field goals consecutively.
Second down, 7.
Doug knows right now, as far as with that spread offense, 4, 5, 6 receivers, and this kind of attacking defense, it's going to be quick reads. He's going to have to read quick, release the ball quick to be able to slow that defense down to buy himself a little time.
Play action, Flutie overthrows Dave Sapungis, the intended receiver, and once again, the Stampeders offense stalls. Paul Randolph was putting the heat on along with Michael Gray, and it's been a tough first half for number 20. Wally Buono's team lost both its meetings with Winnipeg a year ago. In fact, they started 6-0 at the beginning of the year till back-to-back games with Winnipeg, and they lost them both. Now Martino will kick into the wind for the first time this afternoon.
This is a good time because you can see Cameron on the sideline. It is a fake.
Martino will throw, and he has Alondra Johnson for a first down. Wow. Well, Tony said he probably wouldn't run against Winnipeg, but let's see if this is an eligible receiver. There are 2 flags down. Tell you what, Alondra might find his way into the Stampeders 6-pack with catches like that.
Ineligible receiver, Calgary number 51. Third down repeated.
Well, in Alondro's defense, I tell you, as a linebacker anyway, anytime you get the ball thrown at you or around you, you go for it. You pick it off. It doesn't matter whether you're eligible or not eligible. That never comes into thinking as a linebacker on the other side of the ball.
You know, I mentioned they lost both games against Winnipeg last year, and when we asked Wally about it, he said yes, but we didn't have Alondra Johnson for either game, especially at middle linebacker, not necessarily at receiver. But Martino has to kick it over, and he will kick this time. Matt Pierce let it bounce. Bobby Evans picks it up, and the Stampeders will be called for no yards. 9:15 left to go here, second quarter. And the Stampeders with a 1-point lead.
By Tony Martino.
Chris Cuthbert, Dan Kepley, Mark Lee, and the CFL on CBC crew at McMahon Stadium in Calgary. And at Taylor Field this afternoon, Kent Austin has scored on a 2-yard run. Rough Riders ahead of the Eskimos 7-3 second quarter. And we'll keep you updated on that game as it progresses. First down here, Winnipeg, and Sammy Garza in his first CFL start shows us his scrambling ability, and oh boy, what a hit by Junior Thurman. You might have to call him Senior Thurman after that hit.
Just call him Mister. That's all you have to do. Nicknamed the Terminator as he comes out. Garza comes out to the right-hand side, wants to throw the ball to the right, goes back across the field all the way to Thompson on the other side. And the Terminator puts the thumper on him right there, knocks the ball loose.
Junior Thurman.
Just playing an excellent corner for the Calgary Stampeders.
Out of the University of Southern California. 2nd and 10. Garza straight back over the middle. Rob Crepo, the big Canadian receiver out of the University of Toronto, has the biggest offensive gain of the game. 33 yards for Crepo. And Darryl Hall and the safety Greg Knox finally caught up with him.
Garza has plenty of time to throw the ball. Crepo comes off the line of scrimmage at 6'6". He just lopes along. He takes great big strides, and I think Hall was one-on-one with him, and as he made the break to the inside, Hall just misjudged just about how fast this guy could really be. Garza's got plenty of time looking down the field, coming from the left side of your screen, and there he is, Crepo across the middle. He's looking, and possibly Hall thought he had some help with Knox, the safety, and that's a perfect situation that Knox has got to come out there and absolutely lay Crepo out and just make him aware and not come into the middle anymore, and if you do, you're going to get stroked.
Today's game.
That's Stu Laird, the defensive tackle, who was moving in on Garza and was shaken up after the play. Big Stu missed the first 6 games with a knee injury. In fact, he got hurt at almost the opening day of training camp.
He absolutely did, and they were so excited about getting him back in because he really solidified that defensive line. There's a lot of young guys in there. This is an old wily veteran that has great knowledge, and he really just kind of anchors the defensive line against the rush particularly, and he plays extremely well. Hopefully he's going to be okay.
Here's Mark.
Well, Chris, most of us who cover the CFL are used to seeing Calgary owner Larry Rickman in the 3-piece suit. But yesterday here at McMahon Stadium, we caught him in a casual moment in leathers on his Harley Davidson with his daughter Lauren, taking a brief break to watch the Stampeder practice, then head home for lunch.
First down and 10, Winnipeg.
Chatted with Larry yesterday. He wasn't upset, but a little disappointed that this crowd would not be around 30,000 for this game after getting 38,205 for the last home game. Here's Garza looking in the end zone. Crepo, touchdown! And there are no flags, and the Stampeders can't believe it. It looked like Crepo just pushed right off Kent Leonard, but he comes up with the football and a touchdown for the Bombers.
Garza did a great job that time as he sprinted out to the right-hand side, stopped, looked like he was a throwback, and he looked back to his left, and he looked extremely hard, and that created a situation that made the safety, Greg Knox, fall back over toward the left, and then he came back very quickly to Crefo, who was the inside slot, ran the post corner, and then Crefo just out-battled Kenton Leonard and just pushed him down to the ground. No flag, no harm, no blood, touchdown.
It's good, and that makes the
and
score.
Crefo has 4 catches now in the game, 76 yards and a touchdown. He's 6'6", 230, working against Kenton Leonard, 5'9", 170.
Saw the quick look back to the left-hand side. Then he comes to the post corner, and there's the contact with Leonard. They're just fighting for the ball, and 2 hands by Crefo came on Kenton Leonard's back, pushed him down. We're hopefully going to get a little shot here, and you see the little hit that Garza stands in there and takes right at the last, but he'll take those shots all day as long as the end result is 6 points.
I want to say hi to everybody back home in Toronto. Having a good time. See if we can keep it going.
I guess he's having a good time. 4 catches already. 33 for the season for Rob Crefo, and it's 17-11 for Crefo and the Bombers.
Hi to everybody back in Winnipeg, too.
Chris, we took a look at him as when we were walking down there prior to the game. He was out there in just his sweatshirt and stuff like that. He's a big old bone rack full of guys, just all legs and arms, and they're long, extreme. And he is a tremendously deceiving speed guy out there because he's been able to go deep twice here on some very capable Calgary defenders.
With the wind at his back, kicking off from his own 35.
I was struck walking through that tunnel with you earlier today, and Miles Gurrell and Chris Walby came the other way, and the tunnel got dark in a hurry.
It was like an eclipse just took place right there in there.
Driving kick by Westwood into the end zone, and Mitchell better pick it up, and he'll concede a point. Westwood may be a little guy, but he can really boom them, and that was an 85-yard kickoff.
90-yard kickoff by Troy Westwood. Eric Mitchell.
And it's now
18-11. The single point, making it
with
Blue Bombers
8:06
18,
left.
Stampeders 11.
In this second quarter, and Stu Laird continuing to get attention at the Stampeder bench.
Stampeders scrimmaging, 1st and 10 at their own 35.
I can only speculate when I see him laying there just from being an old athlete that when you're laying that flat, no one's looking at the knee, there's no ice or anything around there, that possibly it could be something wrong with his lower back, because it seems like he's trying to keep it quite flat on that astroturf.
Was the first to get at him, also in on the tackle.
Eric Mitchell stopped for no gain on
44,
first down. There's Wild West, who has a touchdown on a mishandled punt in the first quarter.
We talked to him yesterday. It's just how fast
Mitchell
are you
getting
these
back
days?
to the line of scrimmage.
He said, I could probably turn 4-5. And the great thing that he did, he went from 220 to up to about 236 in weight because he was going to play a little tougher in between the tackles. And he said he's bench pressing 440 pounds in the offseason this year.
Flutie on the roll, back against the grain, and it's knocked down by Bobby Evans as Flutie tried to hit Alan Pitts.
It is knocked down by Bobby Evans.
It's starting to look like the old Bomber defense again.
And that's scary for anybody that's on the other side of them. I don't care if it's Doug Flutie or Edmonton or anybody else. This is an inspiring team, and they play intimidating, tough defense. And the more positive results they get, the more hyper they get, the more exciting they get. And unfortunately for anybody else they're playing against, the more intimidating, the more physical that they get.
Tony Martino's been a busy man. Low kick into that wind. Pierce. Hit almost immediately at the 42-yard line. Here in Calgary, Winnipeg, with a 7-point lead.
4 yards on the return.
Back at McMahon Stadium, where Stu Laird is being taken to the dressing room with what we believe is a back problem. And we hope for the fireman's sake that this one is just a false alarm. But right now it appears he's in a lot of pain. First down, Winnipeg. Sammy Garza at the controls, over the middle, and Johnson can't reel it in. Oh boy. He had one catch earlier in the game, was an illegal receiver, but he wasn't there and almost had a big interception. We're going to take another look, and See what we can find out about the injury to Stu Laird. And unfortunately, that's a case of a collision with his own man, Ken Watson.
Where it looks like he lost his balance, where he stubbed his toe actually on the turf, tripped himself and fell, and Watson kneed him or caught him with his shin in the back.
Sammy Garza on 2nd and 10, couldn't get rid of the football.
Chris, let's go back to the play right before that one, when he almost was intercepted by AJ in the middle. As again, Joe Alpin came off as a slot. He was inside running the curl route, running the hook. Garza came out, sprinted out to the right-hand side, never looked inside, and as Alpin made the curl inside, then also AJ just showed great speed, made the break on the ball once the arm took the motion, and the ball was released and came and hit him right dead in the hands. AJ would like to have that one back for the interception.
37-year-old Bob Cameron with the punt. Pee Wee Smith deep for Calgary, takes it on the one hop and is tripped up. Nice defensive play there as Smith looked like he had some room up the left lane as we join Mark Lee.
Well, Chris, for Bomber fans back home in Winnipeg, this is a familiar face. Nick Pastaya, for 9 years, an offensive lineman with the Bombers, and next weekend, an honor for you. You're being inducted into the Blue Bomber Hall of Fame. That must be a great feeling.
Yeah, it is. It really is. I'm very, very grateful to the city of Winnipeg and the Blue Bombers, and just a tremendous, it really is just a tremendous thing to have happen to me.
Nick, you've played in a lot of Winnipeg wins. How do you think this wind is affecting the game?
Well, it seems to be swirling a little bit, but you know, again, Bob Cameron's got to be the best punter into the wind. He just does a tremendous job. I guess he gets a lot of practice in Winnipeg, but I'm watching his technique, and he really drops that ball very low into the wind with a point down and seems to be able to punch it into the wind. As against that wind, he was getting some great kicks, 50 yards.
Sure is. Look forward to seeing you next weekend in Winnipeg.
I'm looking forward to it, too.
Chris?
Thanks.
Nice to see those big offensive linemen honored.
Speak for yourself. As an old linebacker, it's never nice to see big offensive linemen anywhere, because most of the time they're right in your face trying to knock you on your back. And Nick did enough of that. I've seen him. I've danced a lot of cards with him over the years.
I can imagine. That's why I'm glad to see he's getting the honor.
Oh.
That pass almost picked off by Rod Hill, who's been around the football a lot in this first half.
Rod Hill got his hands on it.
Doug Flutie, up to this point, just has not looked like the Doug Flutie as we have come to know him so far. Very crisp, sharp passing. And Rod Hill makes an excellent cut on the ball. He's got plenty of time to throw the ball. The ball is there. It's just on the outside. And then you can see that Rod Hill comes underneath it and comes in and breaks that play up.
Boy, the coverage has been there for the Bombers so far.
That's the kind of style that with this defense that you do have to, they're going to get pressure on you very quickly. So as I said earlier, you're going to have to read quickly and release quickly. This defense will not give you enough time to try to throw that ball very deep downfield.
By Tony Martino, Larry Thompson with a return of 6 yards straight up the middle. First down for the Bombers.
Last year,
their own
Rod Hill had one game in which he had 5 interceptions to set a CFL record. And he has been around the football a lot today. And when he intercepted 5, he broke a record co-held by Don Southern, the defensive coordinator of the Stampeders, who had 4 interceptions back in 1961 as a Hamilton Tiger Cat. Garza in the flat, complete to Frank Pillow, his second catch of the afternoon.
Greatest line that Sudsy said after that, after he intercepted 4, it was against the Edmonton Eskimos, and it was against Don Getty. He said it was the only thing that he ever got from Mr. Getty.
With the tackle for the Stampeders.
I'll tell you, he's been a terrific guy in the league as a player and as a coach for now over 30 years.
A gain of 6.
And a tremendous kicker in his own right.
Absolutely. Second down, 4 yards to go. Garza with the heat on, delivered to Richardson, but what a big defensive play that is by Darryl Hall, the Rover, for the Stampeders.
Will Johnson came off the corner and really gave him a lot of pressure right up front. Garza doesn't have time to really get his shoulders turned upfield before Johnson's right in his face. But the big thing is once you dump that ball in the flat, the speed of a guy like Hall allows him to be able to cover anybody out there one-on-one, and he eliminated that to absolutely no gain.
Will Johnson went to the bench and looks like he may have been shaken up as Bob Cameron gets his foot into another one. And this one will kick through the end zone for a single point.
With a 71-yard punt.
It's a 71-yard single for
that makes
the veteran Cameron.
19,
and it's now 19-11 for Winnipeg. And we check in with Will Johnson at the bench. Looked like he injured his left wrist.
That could be, but as a defensive player, the one thing your ego will never let you get injured hitting the quarterback.
Well, the story of this first half has been the outstanding job done by the Winnipeg defense against Doug Flutie's high-powered six-pack offense. Eric Mitchell trying to get something going on the ground, and he is tripped up. And again, it's James West, the former Stampeder, tripped up Mitchell in the backfield.
You hear West say, hey, he can't help it. He can't help it. He said, I'm too old. You're not supposed to be able to try to be blocking me. And he just comes up. This is great team speed defense. You're not able to run outside on him.
It's a breezy afternoon in Calgary, and there is our cameraman Dale Hudson, who's hanging on, just checking wind direction up there. About 50 feet in the air above the scoreboard here at McMahon Stadium. Doug Flutie's in trouble again. Lorenzo Baker can't track him down, and the pass sails over the head of Alan Pitts, the intended receiver. But the Bombers have turned the heat up on Doug Flutie this afternoon. And the flag and indications are that Calgary jumped the gun.
Offside. Calgary number 85 is declined. Third down.
Here's Mark Lee.
Update on Stu Laird's condition. He left the game after being drilled in the lower back. The team's trainer, Pat Clatney, says he wants to have a look at it in the locker room. They're concerned there might be some internal damage there, but we won't know until probably the second half.
2:36 to go. Winnipeg getting the ball on that punt as it's a 28-yard kick by Martino. And no return.
Should be a no yards call, I think, Chris.
No yards. Calgary number 38. First down.
2:36 to go, first half, and now the Bombers with this penalty are going to be in Calgary territory with a chance to add to their lead before halftime.
Really tough situation for the Calgary coverage team as you're trying to work like crazy to get off the blocks, to get down the field as quickly as you can. You know that wind's going to hold the ball up, but you lose the sight of the ball, and all of a sudden, before you know it, the ball gets held up, and then they're within the no-yard circle.
Give right up the middle, Michael Richardson crashing down to the 30-yard line.
Richardson, the ball
Kenton Leonard finally came across to make the stop for Richardson.
To the Calgary 29.
He was having his best game since his CFL debut against Hamilton. After the 197 yards against the Ticats, Richardson followed with a 45-yard game and then 40 last week in his 2 starts against Saskatchewan. First down, Bombers on the move. Garza has a completion. There are 2 flags down. Gerald Alphin with the catch.
Garza's pass is complete to Gerald Alphin.
Junior Thurman covering for Calgary, but let's sort out these penalties.
I think we'll call it back on a holding call.
Holding. Winnipeg number 66. First down repeated.
That's Miles Gurrell.
Now, not to say anything that Miles could be guilty of holding, but he has had a number of years. Yeah, you kind of grab the big guy, Cofield, around the throat a bit, but he's been doing that for years. He's been getting away from it, and he figures that the percentages are he may get called once out of the 10 or 12 times that he does it.
First down, Garza throwing deep on that right side for Pillow too far.
Sammy Garza going up top to number 85, Frank Pillow, too long.
I like Wally Bono's comment. He said, Miles Gurrell doesn't hold, he engulfs you.
Well, when you get such a big frame out there and you try to work really hard, like it may take you a day and a half to get around Miles Gurrell sometimes because he is fairly wide. He's as wide at the bottom end as he is at the top end.
242nd game of Miles Gurrell's career, 6th on the all-time list, 2nd and 20 for Sammy Garza. Throwing high, and it's caught. No, he was out of bounds. And that negates a pretty acrobatic catch by Larry Thompson.
But came down out of bounds. Incomplete.
Exactly 2 minutes to go.
And 20.
First half here in Calgary.
Thompson does a good job to create the separation between Thurman, and as he comes back toward the ball, as you make a good receiver, once you make the outcut, come back toward the line of scrimmage and let the quarterback be able to throw the ball to you. Garza was able to get his shoulders turned upfield, lay it out there, threw it just a little far right, plus Thurman was able to get the hands on him and push Thompson out before he made the catch.
Bad snap, Westwood for 18 in a row, and the streak is over. Flag is down, though, and Smith puts his knee down. Well, Westwood may get a reprieve here. Let's find out what the flag's all about.
There is a flag.
You may get a shot here where I think the call may be on Matt Finley is in some type of confrontation down there, and he's a little upset with it.
What is it, Matt?
But that field goal attempt kind of went out of sync when the snap from center bounced to Cameron.
Let's go, guys, come on.
Unnecessary roughness. Winnipeg, number 38. Single point stands. First down, Calgary, 15-yard penalty.
Daryl Corbin called, and so the streak is over for Troy Westwood after 17 straight. He misses from 47 out. Mark?
And Chris, that means that the CFL record of 23 straight field goals held by Dean Dorsey of the Ottawa Rough Riders is safe. And this is the 23rd in a row for Dorsey. Back in 1987, August 9th of that year, Dean Dorsey, 23 straight field goals. The CFL record stands as Troy Westwood's assault ends at 17. Chris?
A minute 50 to go here. First half in Calgary, 20-11 Bombers with that single point. But I didn't like Troy's chances as soon as I saw the snap from center.
Well, it's such a timing thing out there, and once that gets in, and if any one part between the center, the holder, and the kicker, if any section gets out of sync at any point in time, it throws a complete curveball into the thing. And as you can see, the results were not positive.
Come on, Jack.
Stampeders scrimmaging at the 55.
Stampeders get the ball at midfield after the penalties are assessed. Flutie tipped in the air and almost picked off.
Flutie's pass is tipped at the line of scrimmage by number 99,
Big Von Booker, the defensive right side end, was able to get his hands up and knock that down.
I thought Bob Cameron did a good job of placing it, and watch how quickly he has to get it on the spot. So it's second down now for Flutie and the Stamps offense. Allen Pitts off his hands, and not a whole lot's gone right for this Stampeder offense in the first half.
Chris, we're starting to see some things of shades of Labor Day last week against the Edmonton Eskimos. One of the biggest points that I think were not that there were 5 interceptions took place, but that 4 of those came off the hands of the receivers, bounced off shoulder pads, and they were very, very catchable passes. They were not bad throws or miscues by Doug Flutie, but just lack of concentration by the Calgary receivers.
And so Tony Martino back in again. 9th punt to the first half. He had just won all last week against Toronto. Larry Thompson, Aaron Ruffin brings him down.
A 37-yard kick.
After the 37-yard punt by Martino. A minute 33 left for the Bombers here, who have the wind at their backs in the second quarter.
Returner for the Bombers. Winnipeg scrimmaging at their own 20, 1st and 10.
Well, after a slow start, Garza seems to be well in control of this Bomber offense. He's mixed it up. Richardson's had some success on the ground in this Sammy Garza's first CFL start. He's waited 4 years for this. Garza out of traffic. Zizakovic on his tail. And Garza with some great composure as Larry Thompson. And Thompson dragged down by Kent Leonard. But Larry Thompson wasn't far from breaking that.
Only a step away. Garza showing some good quick feet that I really truly didn't know that he possessed. As he came off the left-hand side, he outruns Tim Cofield, turns around, then there's Zazakovic inside, tries to get in front of him, and hits Thompson coming across the middle. Thompson's only a step away from breaking that whole thing for 6 points.
Minute 6 to go, first half. First down, Winnipeg. Garza under the gun, and Will Johnson takes him down. Just the 5th sack of the year for the man who led that department last season. But Johnson got to Garza there.
That's the way to go, big guy!
Garza comes back, he sets up, and he wants to throw back, but he doesn't have the time because Will Johnson just absolutely whips Miles Gurrell up front on the left-hand side and gets around the outside for his 45th career sack.
Let's go, Tim!
A lot of questions about Will Johnson's low sack totals this year, but Wally Bono says he has a different responsibility. There's Cofield taking him down. Oh, 2 big plays by the big defensive bookends of Calgary. First Johnson, and now Cofield with his 6th of the year.
Streko Zazakovic comes up the middle, does a great job, forces him, calls him down to pull the ball down, has to take another look, and then at that time, that's Tim Cofield coming hard, continuing to work across the thing and be able to get a return out of this and maybe even get a chance to put some points on the board before the half closes.
That was a great illustration of what Wally Bono was saying yesterday in defense of Will Johnson. He said often a sack is the result of someone else's good work. In that case, Cofield gets the glory, but Zizakovic really set it up for the Stampeders defense. 3rd down, 35 seconds to go. So there will be some time for Flutie to do damage. Pee-wee Smith at his 40. And Pee-wee almost broke into the open field. Across the 50, 25 seconds left. 47-yard kick with the win for Cameron, and an 11-yard Pee-wee Smith return.
25 seconds is a lot of time for a guy like Doug Flutie to be able to be like a surgeon and be able to work his way and cut his way down this field. The unfortunate part about it is that the fact is that wind is blowing right into his face, so they're going to have to get the ball at least down into that 20, 25-yard line to try to be able to give a chance for a field goal.
They trail by 9. Flutie to Pitts. Pitts doesn't hang on, and they rule it an incomplete pass. It would have been a gain of no more than 4 yards.
Bobby Evans with the hit for the
And Doug Flutie's numbers now, wow. He has really been stymied by this Blue Bomber defense.
And as we talked earlier about a sack being not really the sack because the one guy made it himself, but because somebody else did their job. And that goes into those guys in the back end, the secondary, being able to coverage and making those quarterbacks pull the ball down.
Up for grabs, and it's picked off by Bobby Evans. So it's now 4 for 21 and an interception as Evans comes up with his 4th pick of the 92 season.
After the interception.
Doug, as I said, when he throws his ball, James West is coming from the middle linebacking position, comes up and forces him to throw the ball a lot faster and a lot quicker than he wants to throw. He hangs the ball up there. Bobby Evans is able to see the ball before Alan Pitts makes his cut. He makes the quicker move on the ball, is able to get up higher and obviously give Sammy Garza and this Winnipeg offense a chance to score a few points before the half.
I've been waiting to get this in. Bobby Evans, a former Southern Arkansas mule rider. And once again, the defensive line of Calgary comes up big. This time, Harold Hasselback. So 3 straight Winnipeg plays, 2 sacks, and a knockdown pass.
These teams are basically, they're complementing themselves very well in a sense where you know as a defensive team, if your offense is struggling, Go out there, work yourself to death, get the ball back to him as many times as you possibly can. And in this case, that's what the Winnipeg Blue Bombers have been doing for Sammy Garza. And then on the other side, this Calgary defense is starting to rise to the occasion now because they sense that Doug Flutie is having trouble.
Daryl Hall knocked down that attempt by Garza. 3 seconds to go in the first half. One dominated by both defenses.
Daryl Hall just with great, I mean, he's 6'2", 205 pounds as an outside linebacker, relocated defensive lineman.
Check this out. Troy Westwood is setting up to attempt a 62-yard field goal. With the longest in the CFL this year, 55 by both Westwood and Osbaldiston.
With this guy has got the leg to do it, Chris.
He would have told Urban Bowman that he could make it. The attempt was blocked. Carl Anthony got through and got a piece of it. And here goes Pee Wee. And he's just caught. Had he broken that tackle by Brendan Rogers, that could have been dangerous. So a wild way to end a defensive struggle through 30 minutes here at McMahon Stadium in Calgary.
Welcome back to McMahon Stadium in Calgary, where the Blue Bombers lead the Stampeders by a score of 20-11 at halftime on a windy afternoon in the foothills. Well, this was supposed to be a year of transition for Lyle Bauer of the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. After 10 years as an offensive lineman, he retired this spring to become assistant GM, and he'd hoped this year to work under Cal Murphy to learn the ropes in the front office, but it didn't turn out that way because Cal Murphy had to go to hospital for his emergency heart transplant. And Lyle, I guess the first question is, were you prepared for that event?
Well, I don't think that you ever get prepared to fit the shoes of somebody like Cal Murphy, but all you can do is use the talents that you've had and draw on the experience that you've been associated with Cal a long time and go onward, because there isn't much time to wait.
You were but 3 months on the job when Cal had to leave. I'm wondering what the hardest thing has been to be as acting GM.
Well, certainly the hardest thing it had to be when we went down to our final cut-down days and things like that. I had to release some players, most notably James Murphy and Perry Tuttle, people like that I played with for numerous years, but that type of job was thrust in my direction and I had to do it, and it just wasn't a pleasant one at all.
How did you handle that?
Well, sat down across them, discussed everything that went through it, and they were very good. They took it like the professionals they were, but that's the hardest part of it, is the distance that you have to put between yourself and the players now, especially a lot of them playing with so many years.
You have to draw a line. You have to become a different person.
I don't think you have to become a different person, but you just have to make sure that you've been hired to do a job and make sure that you live up to what the people who are paying your wages want.
It's been a year of constant player turnover, a lot of injuries at the receiver position today. A surprising development, Matt Dunnigan not being able to go. How do you feel about that?
Well, certainly we've looked at Matt Dunnigan. He's played all of the past 10 games for us, started them all, and has played through some tough times. He's been hit a few times and things like that. But it's a long season, and we want Matt when the time comes. This week we'll give him a good rest, and we want to get back to the time when we had Tom Clements and John Huffnagel, and I think that we can if Sammy Garza comes up to his potential.
And a quick comment on the first half. It looks like old-time Bomber defense out there.
Certainly. It's a great football game. The defense, the wind's howling, and it should be a super, super second half.
Thanks for coming by, Lyle, and good luck the rest of the season.
Thank you very much.
Lyle Bauer, the assistant GM and acting GM right now for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. Now for their thoughts on the first half, let's go up to the booth to Chris and Dan.
Well, Mark, 31 points in that first half, but clearly it was a defensive struggle. Dan Kepley's kind of football.
I love it. It's great out there, but I think, as I said in the broadcast itself, is that it's a complete three-schedule kind of game where you have offense, defense, special teams. And in all those cases, right now, both offenses are sputtering, but both defenses are playing very well, and special teams are coming up with turnovers as far as fumble, punts, touchdowns, and that kind of thing. And that's what's going to make this game. Those offenses, they know as the defense will get the ball back to them sooner or later. The more times you get them back, the more times a guy like Doug Flutie and Sammy Garza has a chance to make something happen.
So far, Sammy Garza has the better numbers in this touchdown pass.
Well, as he came back, as I said, he's got plenty of time. Good look back off to the left-hand side to pull Greg Knox, the safety, back away, and then he comes back to the post corner there to Crefo. Crefo with a little questionable contact, and this time with Kenton Leonard, but it comes up 6 points, no call, and that's a big way. It's a tremendous ego booster particularly for Sammy Garza.
Quickly, Doug Flutie's numbers are extraordinary. Who would have thought 4 for 21?
Well, I think it's indicative of the style that this Winnipeg defense is playing. Maybe that the Calgary Stampeders are seeing something that they were not really prepared for. It's a matter of, collectively that the offensive line, not just Doug Flutie, but the offensive line, the running backs, everybody has to make sure that they do their responsibility, get their blocking to give Doug Flutie enough time to throw the ball, because everyone knows what Doug Flutie can do. It's just a matter of giving him time to do it.
Well, clearly, Doug Flutie did not expect to really run the ball up and down the field today, but he did promise some big plays. He'll need them in the second half. His team trails 20-11.
The Edmonton Eskimos 10.
Gorgeous day here in southern Alberta, the Rockies to the west.
In the third.
And a rocky first half for the Calgary Stampeder offense against an old-fashioned Blue Bomber fired-up defense. And there are the halftime stats. And net yards, 65 for Calgary. That's a bad quarter for Doug Flutie and company.
That's a bad first series for Doug Flutie, the way that he's been throwing the ball up and down and moving the ball up and down the field. But it's one of those kind of Winnipeg defense theories, philosophies of the fact they don't score, we don't lose, and let's just keep it that way.
I think this was a game that Urban Bowman was really looking forward to after the win last week. He thought his team was psychologically ready to take the next step into becoming a better than 500 team, and he told us yesterday he was anxious, and he thought his team was anxious to take up the challenge of playing a 7-3 team on their home turf.
Well, he felt that this team was mature enough at this point to be able to go out there and compete with the Calgary Stampeders today.
What an unusual schedule for Winnipeg. This is their 4th consecutive home-and-home series. They played Toronto back-to-back, Hamilton back-to-back, Saskatchewan back-to-back, and in all 4 situations, they played the first game on the road. I think it's an unfair schedule.
Well, it's just the roll of the dice sometime, and I think as we talked to Urban, and correct me if I'm wrong, but he said they lost every first game in that home-and-home series, and then they came back to win, hopefully, the second game.
So they're trying to win on the road to open one of these back-to-backers, but Calgary will have the football to start this second half. Eric Mitchell out to the 50-yard line. Just a 40-yard kickoff against the wind. 15-yard return for Mitchell, and now Doug Flutie has the wind at his back in this third quarter to get back in the game.
There could have been nobody in the world better to talk to for Doug Flutie than John Hufnagel going in there. John Hufnagel, coming from the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, has seen for a long time this old-style type of defense that the Winnipeg plays, and he will inform and help Doug Flutie very much in the second half, I'm sure.
See what kind of adjustments they make. First play, Flutie, it's knocked down. And that's the second time that's happened this afternoon.
Incomplete, second down.
And right now, the edge is going to that front of Winnipeg's against the Calgary offensive line as John Hufnagel gives signals.
Booker, Mikolas, Gray, Baker, the linebacker, everybody, they're forcing and pushing that pocket up. And as James West had talked about and alluded to yesterday, was the fact that they wanted to keep Doug Flutie very tight, squeeze him within the pocket, not give him the whole field to be able to operate as a scrambler.
2nd and 10, Flutie looking deep, Pee-wee Smith has it. And they finally get the big play that Flutie promised was there. Smith behind Darryl Sampson. 39 yards, and the Stampeders have a little momentum.
When you play the gambling kind of defense, don't do the time if you can't do the crime. Doug Flutie's got plenty of time, and Smith makes a great catch as he comes, breaks inside, right up the seam, and is able to create some void between he and Sampson.
Stampeders have the ball at the 21-yard line. Give to Mitchell right side. Down to the 15 to the 13-yard line. Here's how Flutie mixed it up in the first half of the game.
Lorenzo Baker in on the tackle for the Bombers.
Not much to the backs, which is unusual because Mitchell is a good receiver.
And at the same time, though, in protection for Flutie was the fact that he needed to keep a lot of those backs in to try to pick up some of those stunning Winnipeg linebackers.
2nd and 2. McVeigh stopped the first time. Good second effort there, and Andy crashes over the 10 for a first down.
It is without a doubt, I think, and it's only my opinion, the fact that a guy like George Cortez or Wally Guano went in there and they challenged this offense. They challenged the offensive line to be able to perform, to be able to buy more time for Doug Flutie to go out there and get the job done against this Winnipeg defense.
Well, they came into the game having allowed only 18 sacks. Last year at this point, they'd allowed 45. First down. Flutie on the roll. Takes a look. Anybody there? Just Bombers right now. Now throws open in the end zone. Touchdown, Derek Crawford. Doug Flutie's first touchdown pass of the afternoon. The first catch for Crawford is a major.
Doug's coming out. He's got plenty of time to the right. He's looking for Smith down on the right-hand side, but you cannot in any way, shape, or form give a guy like Doug Flutie that much time, and these receivers in the back end knowing that if they keep working and working and working, Doug will get the ball to him. You can only, as a defensive back, you can only cover for so long, and sooner or later, something's going to break as it just did.
McLaughlin has the point after. 2 minutes, 47 seconds into the second half. It's now 20-18. An impressive drive to open the second half for the Stampeders. Derek Crawford finished it off with the touchdown reception from Doug Flutie. The big play, though, was the pass over the middle to Pee Wee Smith. And it's a 2-point game at McMahon. Pierce can't handle it. Richardson will. Up to the 25-yard line. Aaron Ruffin downfield. Darrell Hall. Let's take another look at the touchdown reception of Derek Crawford.
By Mark McLaughlin.
Good containment outside by Michael Gray. Absolutely contains Flutie to the left. Forces him to come back to his left-hand side all the way across the board. And there's Pee Wee working deep in the end zone. Wide open, and Doug Flutie laid it out there.
10 Bombers at their own 25.
Now Sammy Garza will try to answer back. First down Bombers. Working against the wind in the third quarter. They'll have it for the fourth. And Garza has a completion to the newcomer, Gerald Alphin. Hesitate to call him a newcomer because for 4 years he was a standout in the Eastern Division with Ottawa and Montreal, 3 times 1,000-yard receiver.
Just a little inside counter fake just to hold that Calgary defense on the play action, and then he hits Alphin on the out pattern. Very important, 2 different philosophies right here. Calgary and Doug Flutie know that they have to make something happen very quickly because this is the quarter that they're going to have to win. Garza just can play ball control, be very patient, try to move the ball down the field, stay competitive in this game right now at 20-18. Do not do anything silly. Do not turn the ball over to Calgary. And again, allow them to score with the win.
Hudson with a gain of 4 there. Out of town, Taylor Field. Michael Souls, a 3-yard run. And the Eskimos have a 9-point lead against the Saskatchewan Roughriders. Eskimos, like Calgary, at 7-3. Saskatchewan, like Winnipeg, at 5-5. Garza has some time, and now it runs out on him. And he's not down, but he is out for this play. Cofield had him in the grasp long enough for the official to whistle the play down, and Cofield has another sack.
Second and 5. Now see, he's trying to go. There's no play action, nothing to hold those defensive linemen. He's got plenty of time. He's got to make that break quick and decide very quickly. He's not going to go down. As long as Miles Gorell's got those big paws on him, he'll never hit the ground. He's in safe hands right there.
Coverage sack, though. And now Cameron blocked. Blair Zaire got in to get it. Cameron's going to try and kick it away, and Zaire is on it. Calgary's got it. And look at the field position inside the Winnipeg 20. A week ago, it was Winnipeg with 3 block kicks, but it was Blair there with the block and Junior Thurman with the recovery for Calgary. And this one's turned around very quickly in the second half.
Just a great effort that time by Zaire, the rookie out of San Jose State. Not even blocked, sails out, just sends out right in front of the kicker of Cameron. Cameron gets over there, tries to kick the ball out of bounds. It was a good effort in the point. Sometimes you just got to fall on it and try to get physical, as kickers can do. And then in time it comes into a big turnover for the Calgary Stampeders.
Eric Mitchell broke 1 tackle and gets down to the 15. Nice job there, because Greg Battle had a hold on him. But there is a flag down.
Confrontation downfield. I think we'll probably get an unnecessary roughness against the Winnipeg Blue Bombers.
Major foul, unnecessary roughness. Winnipeg number 62, first down.
Stan Mikowas.
Right in the end, you're going to see Mikowas and McDonald getting into it, having something to say back and forth, and at the last minute, Mikowas takes a little swing at him, and this is a good thing. The refs jumped in there quickly, not to let it get out of hand.
First down at the 7.
Doug Flutie audible in the line of scrimmage.
In the end zone, flag down, too far for Crawford. That one sailed on Flutie.
Flutie's pass was intended for Derek Crawford, but
when you get a flag that deep in the backfield, you could expect illegal contact by the defense.
Illegal contact on an eligible receiver. Winnipeg number 30, first down.
Daryl Sampson called.
First and goal.
And now it's at the 4, first and goal. 2 Canadians in that defensive secondary for Winnipeg. Kyle Hall, the safety, and Sampson. Give, McVeigh. McVeigh, touchdown!
McVeigh, just a great job. Right off the right-hand side, Luke Cafazzo, Kenny Moore doing a great job. Just exploding. That is the same play that McVeigh scored on earlier in the first half.
Second touchdown of the game for Andy McVeigh. The Stamps have roared in front. Derek Crawford and Andy McVeigh have quick second half touchdowns for Calgary, and the Stampeders are back in front of the Winnipeg Blue Bombers 25-20. They've capitalized on this wind advantage in this third quarter as McLaughlin kicks it right through the end zone. Single point. There's Andy McVeigh, and they're going to start kidding him about responding to that kick from the Rocket, because it simply has McVeigh on top of his game.
Well, let's take a look at it. Here's Andy McVeigh right here. Gray takes the outside, and here's Corbin coming in. They make a good block here, and then Andy McVeigh comes right in here, makes a stutter step, and then shoots in for the touchdown. It's an excellent play.
Stampeders at the Sky Dome in late November. Contestants must be
good quick feet right there. Then he's able to get around, elude the tackle from Corbin, and then get the ball into the end zone. Big score for Andy McVeigh.
Let's go!
That didn't take long after Blair Zaire blocked Bob Cameron's punt. Plays 20 yards for the McVeigh touchdown. And he will remember his 100th game in the CFL. Sammy Garza. And here's the reverse to Larry Thompson. Will Johnson's there. Darrell Hall is and what an outstanding defensive play. Harold Hasselback was also in on it. Nobody in that Calgary defense was fooled.
And they very well shouldn't have been, because this way, Sammy Garza has not done anything at all to set this reverse up. He's coming down. This is the first time you've seen an option play. And then when you try to run a reverse against a team speed defense like the Calgary Stampeders have, it's impossible at best of times.
You didn't see him, but Will Johnson was way outside and forced Thompson in. It wasn't going anywhere. Second and long. The pass for Pillow. Sails out of bounds.
Intended for number 85, Frank Pillow. Sailed over his
There's a great sense right now of a momentum swing that has taken place from the Winnipeg Blue Bombers over to a positive side for the Calgary Stampeders, both offensively and defensively.
You know, I'm a little surprised they didn't go back to that ground game, because Richardson has moved the football on the ground. Edmondson beat Calgary with a rushing offense this year. And here against the wind in the third quarter, they haven't given Richardson the ball.
They had a great chance, just like you say, Chris, just line it up nose to nose and just challenge each one of those offensive guys to whip the guy in front of him and let Richardson find a hole and run. They had great success with it in the first half.
Cameron to kick. And nobody does it better against the wind. Pee-wee Smith going backwards. And down he goes. He'll lose 7 on that return. Let's take a look at the offensive rankings for these two teams. Stamps the second highest scoring team. They've got the number 1 offense as far as yardage goes, second in passing, fourth in rushing. As you can see, the numbers for Winnipeg are a lot further down. The Bombers' strength is their defense. Total offense, Winnipeg 7th in yards. And after a slow start, Doug Flutie is playing like the Flutie we have come to expect in the CFL. A completion there for short yardage to Carl
Flutie's
Bland.
pass is complete to number 85, Carl Bland.
That's the first catch of the game for Bland, his 50th of the season.
Smith brings Bland down.
Flutie getting some help from John Huffnagel
Second
along the
down,
sidelines.
along 5.
5 for Bland and 5 more to go for a first down. In the flat, Sapunjas, they rule no catch, and Sapunjas
Pass is ruled
doesn't like the
incomplete,
call.
intended for Dave Sapunjas at the 50-yard line. That brings up 3rd and 5 for the Stampeders.
Doug had to throw that ball probably about 2 seconds before he really wanted to. Rick Battle and also Baker off the backside were coming just absolutely with their ears pinned back, and Doug released the ball very quickly as he could sense it, and the ball skipped right before he hit into the punches.
6:35, clock running, third quarter. Calgary with the win for this Tony Martino punt. Larry Thompson will let it bounce. And that'll beef up Martino's average, another single point, and it's now a 6-point lead for Calgary.
And 83-yard punt.
Well, Chris, I'd like to introduce Itzy, the Stampeder touchdown horse, and Coraline Jones, who's been riding this horse every time the Stampeders score a touchdown. This is a tradition that has been around since I can remember watching Stampede football.
It's been around a long time, probably about 25 seasons total, and 23 seasons is in our family.
What do you mean, your family?
My sister for 10 seasons prior to my taking over, and we're on our 13th season right now.
A lot of fun, I guess, riding up in front of the crowd. I wonder how Itzy manages to take the noise and the excitement.
She kind of thrives on the attention that Stampeder fans give her. She loves it.
Thanks for stopping by for the chat.
Michael Richardson, the ball.
Well, now I know why I'm not a coach. I said give the ball to Richardson, and Will Johnson stops him for a 2-yard loss.
But the kind of thing that we were talking about earlier, give the ball to Richardson on that straight handoff dive where he's going straight ahead. This time it's a very slow developing. Hudson's leading the way, counter coming back in, and Will Johnson was just there to close it down and shut it down completely.
Well, you're a team guy trying to get me off the hook. Second and long. And Garza's hit as he released the ball by Matt Finley. And now it's Calgary's defense that's really flexing its muscles.
3rd and 12, Winnipeg.
Get ready, because this is a very contagious thing that comes off. Matt Finley just coming off the right side. He was expected to be blocked by Miles Garrell. Miles turned for whatever reasons, went all the way down. Miles does things as only Miles can do, and left Matt Finley wide open. It's a complete open shot on Garza, and he takes full credit and full advantage of it.
Cameron back in to kick away. Pee Wee Smith is deep. The short man, Dave Sapunjas, who returned to punt for a touchdown against Edmonton a year ago. Here they come, and Cameron just got it away. Smith at his 41. Got 5 on the return before Daryl Corbin nailed him. It's the Stamp by 6 here in the 3rd quarter. Back at McMahon Stadium with 5:04 to go, 3rd quarter. And the fans here much prefer what they've seen in the second half, as Calgary has roared back into the lead with 15 straight points. And they have the ball in the wind as Flutie rolls, looks downfield. Pitts is open and he can't bring it in.
Doug Flutie intended for Alan Pitts, just out of his reach. Incomplete to bring up
an update from Taylor Field, and how about this? That's a surprise. 2 straight touchdowns by Saskatchewan, and Don Matthews' squad has roared into the lead. And Narcisse and Brown have the touchdowns. That would be a big win by the Green Riders. And Doug knows that he had Pitts open there.
He had Pitts open, and he had Pitts open one-on-one against James West, which was a complete mismatch, even if James West still does run a 4-5.
He gets Pitts on the other side, though, and it is a first down into Winnipeg territory at the 53.
Pitts lined up as the slot on the inside that time. Doug's got plenty of time to throw, runs the out pattern. The big thing that happened was right at the end of the play, coming from the right-hand part of the screen, was Daryl Sampson went down very quickly on his knee, grabbing his back, so he could be in some serious pain out there. And if that's the case, you can bet that Allen will go back, pitcher will go back, tell Flutie, and the next thing you know, you've got to cut the weak ones out of the herd here, and they'll come back and challenge Sampson. As you see, I can see Sampson just running off the side of the field right now. So they'll make that quick change, and then hopefully that'll help to solidify the secondary of that Winnipeg Blue Bombers.
Alan Pitts does get the first down. 1st and 10 Stampeders.
Well, you know, he doesn't like to watch at the best of times, and he certainly doesn't like what he's seeing right now as Matt Dunnigan charts today. And it is a first down for Calgary at the Winnipeg 53. Carl Bland got the ball, and as soon as he caught it, Rod Hill drilled him. But that's another first down for Calgary. And just to update you on that game at Taylor Field, Kent Austin with a 4-yard touchdown pass to Donald Narcisse and a 27-yard TD pass to Reggie Brown. And that's how the Rough Riders have clawed their way into the lead against the Eskimos. 4th quarter there at Taylor Field.
Well, that Edmonton defense plays very similar to like this Winnipeg defense. It is a gambling defense. It is a blitzing defense that at some point in time, either you may get the big play if you're able to break it. If not, you're going to pay the price for them.
Flutie gets away from one. Can't get away from the next 2, though. Paul Randolph and James West take him down.
Down in the backfield.
It's interesting, the stats we get from the league say that James West has the most tackles on the Blue Bombers this year, but the coaching stats suggest it's Randolph, and they both team up here.
Anytime they meet in the back and they meet at the quarterback, they don't really care who gets it. That's just their job.
2nd and 14, pass in the flats complete down to the 38. Dave Sapunjas, he's short of the first down, and it will be time for Mark McLaughlin to come on.
Doug Flutie, the last 2 series of plays that he has looked more comfortable than he did. The first half, Doug looked completely uncharacteristic of Doug Flutie. He threw the ball off balance. His feet were very nervous. He was ducking as he was trying to release the ball. The last two times that he had, he stood in there very, very confident, able to pivot, getting his shoulders turned upfield and delivering the ball right out on the money.
Mark McLaughlin has a 41-yarder in the game. This one from 45 is wide to the left and through the end zone. It's a single point, and now a 7-point lead for the Stampeders.
27, the Bombers 20.
Well, we've talked about John Hufnagel, and
Molson Canadian is very proud to be the
input as far as the Stampeders offense is concerned. There's Ron Calcagny, like Hufnagel, also a former CFL quarterback. He was, I know, reflecting with you about a hit you laid on him about 10 years ago.
I used to chase him around a little bit.
But he's just new to this coaching business in the CFL. Yet, what's interesting about Calcagny is last year, or the last few years in Houston, he's worked a run-and-shoot offense there that's produced Andre Ware and David Klingler, two of the great collegiate quarterbacks in the NCAA.
Well, and when you say run and shoot, the first name that comes to mind is a guy by the name of Mouse Davis, who's developed that up here in the Canadian Football League. And in a sense, it is one of the most powerful offenses that can be used. We don't see a lot of it these days. But when Mouse Davis was with Toronto with guys like Terry Greer and Metcalf, those kind of people, it was unbelievable. And a guy like Conrad Holloway running the show.
Second down, Winnipeg in the flat, and oh, what a hit! Again, it was the Terminator for the second time today, and this time he nailed Gerald Alphin. Boy, the eyes of a cornerback light up when they see a pass like this delivered.
Quick zone defense that time. It's a cut call, meaning the corner is up in the lower flat. The halfback goes up over top to the deep third, and all he's doing is looking inside, licking his lips, and waiting for Alphin to come out there, and then you're able to jump up and put the elbow right into the face.
Bob Cameron back in. Originally drafted by the Edmonton Eskimos. But a guy by the name of Alisic was there, so Cameron went to Winnipeg and has been an outstanding punter with the Bombers ever since. Cameron continues to do a good job against the wind. That's a 41-yard kick against a real gusty breeze. We're going to take another look and actually listen to this hit by Junior Thurman.
50-50 tickets, everybody. We got a great prize $3,401. The winning number is...
Yes, that just got Mr. Kepley's adrenaline going.
I get excited about that thing, but the main thing that those guys do... Gerald Alphin is a heck of an inside receiver, and the main thing you don't want to do is to ever let one of those defensive backs intimidate you. Get off the ground, even if your leg's broken and it hurts like heck every now and then. Jump off as quickly as you can and get over to the sideline. Never let them see them hurt you.
Doug Flutie on the scramble have gotten back close to the line of scrimmage. You'll lose one. Did a pretty creative job to manage that. A lot of guys provided pressure there, including our friend James West.
You were mentioning about Cameron getting drafted by the Eskimos and going to Winnipeg. I ran into an old friend that I used to chase around out there also, Joe Popowski. He's the color man with the radio station along with Bob Irving out of Winnipeg. And again, he was one that was drafted and wanted to be signed by the Eskimos. But we had guys like Tommy Scott and Brian Farr, and he felt that his future would be elsewhere, and it certainly was because he had a great career with the Winnipeg Blue Bombers.
The third quarter for Flutie, twice as productive as the first half. There's Pee Wee Smith, gets away! Look out! Pee Wee's gone! He beat Bobby Evans and goes 81 yards. And they love it at Pee Wee's Playhouse.
Just kind of rolled his eyes because you could see the expression. When he threw it out there, it was a very innocent throw. Only about a 5 or 6 or 8 yard pass down there after he just kind of lobbed it up in the air. The thing that took place was that the defense of the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, when they came up, and I believe it was Rod Hill, or Sampson, I'm not exactly sure, it may have been Smith, came down and tried to absolutely take Pee Wee's head off without breaking down, getting your hands on him, grab him, and let the second guy get the good shot.
Second TD of the year for Pee Wee. 81 yards. I mentioned Bobby Evans. Bobby Evans was putting the pressure on Flutie. And let's see how Pee Wee got away.
That just comes up. Bobby Evans comes from the halfback, but you can see it's Donald Smith that comes out and just tries to take his head off. And then you got Kyle Hall comes over from the safety position. Neither one of them broke down and just had to get a hand on this to make the tackle. Not to make the stick that knocks somebody's head off. Break down, get there. And also then Pee Wee shows what great quick feet he has, eludes the tackle by Hall, and then gets out, and it's a foot race, and you're not going to catch many of them. I can promise you, the scenery's not good when you chase a guy like Pee Wee Smith.
Stampeders 23 third quarter points, and we've got 38 seconds to go in this third quarter. Richardson can't get away, down at the 26.
A 67-yard kickoff by Mark McLaughlin.
67-yard kickoff, 19-yard return.
By Michael Richardson.
And the Stampeders have not squandered a second half lead.
Time talks.
First and 10 Bombers.
No predictions this week for Pee Wee, though.
I don't think so. I think that that little 21 prediction at Labor Day against the Edmonton Eskimos, it does have a tendency to shut your mouth and just, at this point, let your actions do the talking, not your words.
Sammy Garza downed again. And this front four of the Stampeders has really taken over. Cofield, Hasselback, along with Zizakovic and Johnson. Urban Bowman giving Sammy Garza the start. Matt Dunnigan's in civvies, and Danny McManus is on the sidelines. And you wonder if they might give McManus a chance with the momentum clearly going away from the Bombers here.
Time count violation, it looks like, Chris.
What were you saying at the start of the game?
Violation. Winnipeg number 9. Second down repeat.
Sometimes it's easier to be a reliever than a starter.
Well, that's exactly. Sometimes it's like in baseball. You got guys that specialize in closing, guys that can come in and actually take over a lead and keep it that way. And that is what Sammy Garza has been up until now. I think, that it just depends on whether this was thrown at him all at one time an hour before the kickoff, or did he actually know that prior to coming into Calgary?
Garza picked off in the flat. Carl Anthony, good score. Touchdown, Calgary.
Pretty good. He gives him the pump fake to go to the out and then tries to go to the out and up. But when you take a look at it, there's 4 or 5 red shirts over there. And again, that's Anthony. Number 19 standing there picking it off. A.J. Johnson, Alondro was standing out there. There was a couple other defensive backs, and then all he had was a brigade that was going to escort him into the end zone.
Steve Taylor can't handle the snap. Tried to improvise, but there was no room there. So they get 6, but they don't get the convert. It's 40-20 at the end of 3 quarters. Well, it was a defensive struggle, at least through 30 minutes, but the 29 points for Calgary in the third quarter is their biggest outburst of the season. Larry Thompson has it hop over him, and look at the coverage team for Calgary do its job. Bombers have the win for the fourth quarter, but they're down by 20, and the Stamps have really taken the wind out of their sails. 57-yard kickoff, and Thompson just a 3-yard return. That's been a problem for the Bombers all season long. Their returns, they haven't had that breakaway threat.
When we looked at it and we talked with Urban Bowman yesterday, the fact was that when you look at their return people, they do not have a Pee Wee Smith. They do not have a Gizmo Williams. They do not have somebody. A guy like Thompson is a guy that can hopefully be able to fall into that category, but it's going to take him a little while to get there.
Richardson dropped the ball on the handoff, but got back on it.
The covers for the Bombers, however. Will Johnson was right there. Loss of 3.
Well, they've lost 3 opening games in these back-to-back series. They're down by 20 here, but to the Bombers' credit, the last 3 times they've come right back to win. Check that, they did lose 2 in a row to Hamilton. They beat Toronto coming home and also beat Saskatchewan last week. Garza in trouble again. Just got it away as Will Johnson was about to put him down again.
This just does not look very much like an offensive unit that is operating with some confidence out there. Garza's trying to make a lot of things happen. Johnson with his big hands up right there, gets up off the ground, makes Garza pull the ball down, turn back inside, and then Will's able to put some pressure on him, just makes him throw the ball away. It's pretty scary as an offensive unit standing over there and seeing now a very, very inspired Calgary defense just licking their lips, waiting to get at you.
Here's Pee Wee again. Tripped up on the play. Donald Smith, first man down, one of the leading specialty team tacklers in the CFL.
By Bob Cameron. Pee Wee Smith brought it back
50-yard kick by Cameron, and boy, those stats have changed dramatically after 15 minutes in the second half.
When you take a good look at that, you just look at the net yards that Calgary Stampeders have come up with now after 3 quarters. And the big thing again is that Doug Flutie has been able to put the ball up in the air with some confidence, and the receivers are holding on to the ball.
Doug Flutie with 171 yards passing in the third quarter after being held to just 40 in the first half. Going for more. Sapunjas wide open. Inside the 40. Finally, they get him out at the 34. And Dave Sapunjas continues his quest for 1,000 yards this season. 36 on that catch. He's over 750 for the year.
Play action pass just inside. It holds the linebackers tight. Sapunjas comes across the middle right behind Greg Battle. He waits for him to clear Battle's zone, and then Doug Flutie just lays the ball out there, and it's a foot race, and at this time Sapunjas was going to win most of those.
Eskimos have added a single. It's a 4-point Saskatchewan lead with 5 minutes to play.
Andy McVeigh carried straight up the middle for the Stampeders.
Let's take a look at Doug Flutie and his numbers in the second half.
Dan Mikawas on the tackle for the Bombers.
I'd say they ironed out things at halftime.
I would think that they came to some kind of agreement in there at halftime about what Doug needed to do.
But it's interesting. Yesterday when we talked to Doug, he acknowledged that this might be a frustrating team to play and that it may not come gradually. It might come in bunches, and that's what's happened. Second down and 3. They go back to McVeigh, and he thunders down to the 12, and what an afternoon big number 34 has had. And you know what's funny, Kep? They were brawling with Toronto last week, and you know the Argos are watching, cheering for the Stampeders this week.
It's a love them, hate them kind of relationship. But again, they're coming right off that right side. Cafazzo and Moore are just getting great explosion off the line. And McVeigh is just getting right in behind him with his power and picking up big, important yardage.
Eric Mitchell, touchdown!
Just a spectacular cut by Mitchell that time. As he comes off the left side, the first guy he's going to see almost face-to-face is West. Quick feet back around to the right. There's no pursuit coming from the back side. Baker has already closed all the way down, and when Mitchell turns that corner, there's nothing but green grass in front of him, and he's in for 6 points.
McLaughlin adds this extra point, and it's now 47-20 Calgary. Eric Mitchell's going to give Wally Buono a tough decision when Keevan Jenkins is ready to come back. There are the scoring plays on the latest Stampeder drive. 36 second half points. Jakovic picking up that kickoff, the short kick by McLaughlin, just 32 yards and an 11-yard return for the reserve safety.
Let's go back to the touchdown drive. Here's Mitchell right here. The punches will come off and make the block, but the defense is really pursuing. Just a little counter comes back around. Let's take a look at it, and it's wide open. There's Baker, comes all the way down close. Sapun just gets just a little piece of it, just enough that it delays him enough he cannot get outside to pursue Mitchell. Easy 6 points.
Sammy Garza still in at quarterback.
Garza's pass
has a completion, but Matt Finley was all over Michael Richardson.
Michael Richardson hauled it in. Matt Finley defending on the play for the Stampeders.
This defense coming off a shutout last week against Calgary has been impressive again today. That shutout against the Argonauts, by the way, their first since 1971. Rob Crepo in the flat has been the best receiver for the Blue Bombers today, and he has a first down.
Kenton Leonard providing the coverage.
Main thing about it, that was a good catch by Crepo, but there's still a lot of heat coming from the Calgary Stampeders. Darryl Hall coming from his backside linebacker position was able to get almost right up into Garza's face right before he released the ball, so he is feeling that heat, and he's not throwing the ball with as much confidence as I'm sure he'd like to have, or as much time.
Give to Richardson, and he has
Richardson, the ball carrier for the Bombers.
Zakovic was hanging on. These two teams will meet next Sunday. We'll have that game for you as well Saturday night at Skydome. The Argonauts will try to get on track against their old coach, Don Matthews, and the Saskatchewan Roughriders. And if Calgary finishes the Bombers off today, it will be a 4-point lead for Winnipeg over Toronto in the Eastern Division race. That's why the Argos are cheering for their old Grey Cup rivals as Garza swarmed again. And Will Johnson is perhaps having his best game of the year.
Will Johnson is all over the field, but this comes back to something that we said earlier. Will Johnson's sack came from somebody else doing their job. Greg Knox from the safety had walked up to the outside on the weak side, and he blitzed from the outside, and as soon as Garza wanted to try to release the ball, Knox was up in the air, forced him to bring the ball back down. There he is right now, brings the ball back down. Will Johnson, boom, is the man, takes a little shot at him, puts him down for another sack.
Well, the winds are now swirling here at McMahon as Troy Westwood attempts a 54-yarder. A 62-yarder was blocked. That one almost was too, but Westwood's good. 54 yards. He's hit from 55 this year, and so the Bombers have their first points of this second half. Well, here's an easy question. Which coach do you think will enjoy breaking down the game films this week, getting ready for the rematch next Sunday afternoon in Winnipeg? Tough second half here for Urban Bowman's team. They've been outscored 36-3 with 8:57 to go, fourth quarter. Flutie hits over the middle. The 48th and a first down. Here's Mark.
Well, Chris, Keevan Jenkins has missed 5 games at running back for the Stampeders with an injured ankle, but he's standing here fit as a fiddle and ready to return, I guess, just waiting for Wally to give you a chance to come back.
Exactly. I practiced last week, and the ankle got a little sore, so they decided to keep me out for another week. If he decides to put me in for the next week game, I'll be ready.
As a spectator, how do you account for this dramatic turnabout in the Stampeder offense? 29 unanswered points in the third quarter.
I wasn't in the locker room in halftime, but from what I can see sitting in the stands, the defense is playing much more aggressively. Offense is not making the mistakes that we had early in the ball game. And we had a lot of big plays. Pee Wee Smith with the 81-yard touchdown and interception for a touchdown. So I think overall that's the main difference in the game.
Keevan, thanks for your time, and we look forward to seeing you carrying the mail again soon.
Thank you. Hope to be back out there soon.
Okay.
All right.
Chris?
The kind of problems, as I said, that Coach Bono wants to have is the fact that who do you put in there? Eric Mitchell, Keevan are trying to run that. That's the lesser of two evils that you need to get into.
Here's Flutie. All on his own. Late hit there. And the flag was thrown. James West.
On the sideline.
That's how those little extracurricular things get started.
Yeah, but they start. But we'll show the replay back on this. Hopefully, Georgia, hope they get that for me in the truck. As he comes in there, Flutie is out of bounds, and he's starting to slide. It's a naked bootleg. He's all by himself out there. And he's motioning. Get down, make a block. And at the point he makes the block, he slides out. West is coming hard, and he just tries to put his hands on him and pushes him down because West can see that he's going to hit Flutie. He's going to hit the bench. He's going to have to jump over that thing, and he never really tried. To his credit, I think James West is a very classy player, and I would defend that call right there.
No, you're right. On the second look, you see the bench flying and Flutie down, but it looked like West may have been actually holding back there on the second look from our ISO director, George Bertozzi. It is a first down Calgary, though. McVeigh across the 30.
Andy McVeigh, the ball carrier for the Stampeders.
Now Romano pops up to have words with one of the Bombers.
Just inside the Winnipeg
Here's where it's
30.
going to start, Chris, out there. I mean, when it's
yards.
down, you're down 47-23 with 7 minutes to go.
Lorenzo
The outcome
Baker,
doesn't
Paul
look all
Randolph.
that good. And when you're playing back-to-back, the emotions in these games run so high. And the thing about it is when you're back-to-back again is that they stay very, very close to the surface for next week because tomorrow you're going to think about these same games and you're going to think about the same guys you just played against because you're going to see them next week. It's not like going out there and preparing for the Edmonton Eskimos and trying to get either Winnipeg or Calgary out of your mind. You need to know that. And the good thing about these things is that now Winnipeg has to establish something. Either the fact you got to win the war, you got to win the fight, you got to win the intimidation, but you can't walk out of here just losing the football game.
A little confusion on the field because for a moment, cornerback Donald Smith of Winnipeg put his knee down as if he'd been hurt. And the official blew the play down, hoping to get Smith off the field. And then Smith said, "I'm okay, I can stay in." Flutie to Pitts. Pitts can't hang on, or did he? Dropped the ball, but they may rule a catch.
The ref is marking the spot, and they're going to give him the catch, it looks like.
The gain is 13 yards. Another Stampeder first down.
This is the same play that they set up earlier when Flutie came out on the naked bootleg. This time when he comes out to play action, all of a sudden Paul Randolph is standing right in his face. Flutie shows what a great athlete he is as far as being able to set up, and then he comes down. The first foot to hit on that replay was the foot out of bounds, but they marked it and gave him that catch.
Flutie, McVeigh can't hang on. Oh, we talked about Andy's hockey mentality. He almost had the hat trick.
Well, they're coming in with a little razzle-dazzle, and I guess Andy's mentality as far as hockey goes, maybe he's got those brick hands around the neck, doesn't score very often as far as with the puck. But again, Doug Flutie got some heat again from Randolph on the outside, and he just had to throw the ball very, very quickly up into the air. The catch is going to come down. This is Pitts. Oh, the back leg does come down. They're going to say it first, and then the right foot hits out of bounds. They credit with the catch.
Good call. Flag down. Flutie rolling into the end zone. Carl Bland, touchdown. But there are flags on the field.
Could bring it back. They may call holding.
And it will come back on the procedure call. You wonder if Flutie might look at a guy like Dave Sapunjas right now.
Procedure. Calgary number 18. Second down repeated.
In the Sapunjas has had an outstanding year, and yet he's still looking for his first touchdown.
They'll make it 2nd and 15 for the Stamps at the 21-yard line of Winnipeg.
5:40 to go in what has been a second half completely dominated by the Calgary Stampeders. Flutie downfield. That one should have been caught. Pitts showing his frustration.
For number 18, Alan Smith. Incomplete.
We've seen a lot of uncharacteristic things happen today, particularly the first half that Doug Flutie had, and I can attest that to the fact that this Winnipeg defense forced him to do a lot of those things. But passes like that happened earlier in the first half to Pitts and to also Smith and to Crawford and this pass here to Pitts are just completely uncharacteristic of the fact that the ball is thrown on the money, it hits them right in the hands or in the shoulder pads, and they just lose that one split second of concentration.
McLaughlin from 28 yards out puts 3 more on the board. It's 50 now for the Stamps, 39 in this second half. 5:04 left, and the Calgary Stampeders 5 points shy of their all-time record for points in a game. 10 years ago, October 17th, 1982, they outscored Hamilton 55-48. They've got 50 now and time to go. Garza puts this one up, and it's out of bounds, and the Bombers put a net over there and caught a Junior Thurman.
That may be the only way you can catch Junior Thurman or Pee Wee Smith or any of those other guys that's got that speed down the sideline. The kicker that Bob Cameron and Troy Westwood uses to practice in was standing on the sideline. That needs to be put away.
Well, there it is, a final. Don Matthews has said their goal is to host the Western Final, and the Rough Riders are making this a 3-team race for first in the West as they beat Edmonton today. Pass over the middle, incomplete, but the flag goes down. Andrew Martin was the intended receiver. Darrell Hall will be called for interference. So in the West now, Saskatchewan moves to 6-5. Edmonton is 7-4, and the Stampeders just under 5 minutes away from taking over sole possession of first in the West.
Fourth pass interference. Calgary number 7. First down.
And the Rough Riders have to keep winning because all of a sudden the Lions are with 3 in a row.
That was the big thing there. That's why that game was so important as far as my opinion is concerned, is the fact that the BC Lions are on a roll, and that puts them in a tougher situation of trying to close up that third place in the playoff position.
How about this front four for Calgary, Kep? They have had quite a game. Once again, Schrecko and Will Johnson converge on Sammy Garza. And it's a good thing Matt Dunnigan wasn't playing, because if he wasn't hurt before the game, he probably would be now.
Holding. Winnipeg number 66, decline, second down.
Loss of 4, Larry Rickman's happy.
Loss of 4 to make it 2nd and 14.
And he was just told that Saskatchewan defeated Edmonton, so he has a couple of reasons to be pleased. Garza, downfield, Junior Thurman again. He's had a heck of an afternoon.
Intended for number 81, Larry Thompson. 3rd and 14.
Tremendously long out pattern that time that Thurman was caught underneath. Garza tried to throw that ball, and Alondra Johnson was right in the middle of his face, forcing him to throw that ball up high. Thurman again showing good quick feet as he made the break on the ball, was able to get up and knock it down.
Dave, they just announced that Rider victory over Edmonton here at McMahon, and the place explodes.
You can't hide it. They don't like Edmonton down here in this all red and white sea.
Here goes Pee Wee again. Bob Cameron back. And he's caught from behind by Donald Smith. Cameron slowed him up, and Donald Smith caught Pee Wee, but 86 goes 66 yards. And after a mistake early in the game, Pee Wee has more than atoned.
Well, from what we've seen today, I still find it hard to figure out what Wally was talking about. He's concerned about his kickoff, his punt return team.
Smitty does a great job getting outside. It's good speed. The only thing that can happen right now is that Cameron does the only thing that most kickers can do is try to slow him up, try to make him make a cut, and sure as heck hope that somebody is in very desperate pursuit for the tackle.
Steve Taylor in at quarterback, and he hands off to Andy McVeigh.
6 yards on the play for McVeigh before he's brought down by Stan Nicolai.
And some of the extra backup people for Calgary are in. Frank Maroff is also in, a reserve slot back. Steve Taylor's seen limited action this year, and now he'll go to the bench to confer with the coach as we've got an injured Blue Bomber on the field.
Chris, this is some of the situations that I spoke to earlier about the back-to-back and where the emotions are running. This is the kind when the game is completely out of hand and out of control. Right now, that at some point tempers will flare and the physical aspect of this game will really intensify.
Vaughn Booker, the injured Bomber. Looks like he'll be okay.
Now you brought up Vaughn Booker's name to me earlier as you snickered a bit, to the point that Vaughn Booker played for the University of Cincinnati Bearcats, which happened at one time to play the East Carolina Pirates. And at that point, that was the team that I was from and the college that I played at. And Booker was credited with 24
Alan Pitts has just scored for Calgary. We apologize for the audio problems we're having here, but Pitts is in, and the Stampeders have an all-time record for points in a game.
To listen to this crowd cheer right now, you don't even need these microphones that we're listening to. They're going to make enough noise. The only person that I feel absolutely sorry for right now is that horse.
Get the workout.
That horse will be into serious lather if this game continues a few more minutes.
Stampeders pouring it on here. There's the loudspeaker at McMahon Stadium. We've got our speakers fixed now. A little audio difficulty. We apologize for that, but no bugs in this Calgary offense in the second half. 57-23. They lead the Bombers. Steve Taylor and Alan Pitts combining for the latest score. Michael Richardson down. Now you were saying East Carolina Pirates, eh?
Well, I had some problems with that. When Vaughn Booker was down on the ground, we talked about he played at the University of Cincinnati. And in 1987, when he played for the Bearcats there, he played against East Carolina University, which was my alma mater, as you like to point out to me. And in a sense, he was credited with 24 tackles and assists during that, which stands as a record. And you just happened to take that kind of jab. So I thought I'd like to confess to that before you really had a good chance to give me a shot on it.
You know, somehow I thought it was fitting that you were a Pirate. Pass dropped in the flat. Been a tough day for Gerald Alpin. We're going to take another look at the latest Calgary touchdown.
Covering. Incompletion brings up second down.
Steve Taylor looking out to the left-hand side, comes back, actually going to throw. It looks like he's throwing for Crawford. He throws it up over top. Alan Pitts picks it up and puts a little show on, just enough to taunt
that Winnipeg defense to know that Allen has to remember the fact, and here is Randolph with a good shot on Steve Taylor right as he released the ball. But Allen's going to have to know for a fact he's going to see these guys again next week.
Alphen has a first down with that reception. Pitts with 7 touchdowns on the season now, and
on the tackle for Calgary.
he ties Larry Thompson in that department. Hasn't been the year I think a lot of us expected, because many thought that Alan Pitts would set some records this year, but he's still having a good year.
Well, after you start off with last year at 118 receptions, at this point going into this game, he had 50 receptions for 777 yards and 6 touchdowns.
They go back to Alphen again, trying to establish something to work with for next week in the rematch.
Absolutely, that's a perfect statement, Chris, for the fact that Winnipeg does have to acquire some type of confidence to start the week off with in preparation for Calgary again.
Warren Hudson with the burst up the middle, hauled down by Darrell Hall with 2:18 to go in this game.
17 yards to the Bombers. Takes it to the Calgary 39-yard.
I mentioned Pitts with 7 catches along with Larry Thompson and Ray Elgard. Earl Winfield and Stefan Jones came into the week leading with 8 apiece. Garza throws a completion to Michael Richardson, who's wrapped up after a short gain. Aaron Ruffin with the tackle.
Gains about 3.
It's important right now for Garza to realize this game pretty much is out of hand. It's completed to a point. Go out there and work on the things that are going to help you through the week that you may have a chance to build some confidence on going into that next week game. Work the ball, beat.
Well, there's one to work with. Larry Thompson from Garza for a touchdown. And now Larry Thompson has his 8th touchdown reception of the season. And that's the best drive Garza's put together since early in the game.
Good time to throw the ball. That defensive front had been really working hard. And right up front was Hasselback, who got loose early, got some heat on him. Garza was able to elude Hasselback, step back, and then it allowed Thompson to get behind him, get enough time to get deep. They just rifled the ball up there. A little bit of a Hail Mary, comes down for 6 points.
They'll try for 2 more here. And Garza throws short of Thompson and behind Alphen. So the score remains 57-29. And if you're just joining us, the Stampeders with 46 points in the second half. The Bombers had led 20-11 at halftime. And Urban Bowman's defense was looking very intimidating, but it all came unglued.
Now you look at the intensity here. This is Wally, like he knows, he's an old defensive linebacker. He's still playing this down. There's a minute 56 seconds. He doesn't care what the score is. He believes that everybody goes out there and their team plays 60 hard minutes and gets the job done. He does not want to see anybody scoring on this defensive team now.
An afternoon which will see Calgary move back into sole possession of first place in the Western Division, because the Eskimos have lost to the Rough Riders in Saskatchewan today. Calgary 8-3, Edmonton 7-4, Saskatchewan 6-5. While the Bombers squander an opportunity. What's Pee Wee doing here? A little stutter step, thought about conceding a single point, and now he's off to the races. It's the old change-up. And he gets 50 yards on the return. I'll make it 49 officially, and for Pee Wee in the game now, he has 290 combined yards.
That turned it up for 49 yards.
Pee Wee just lost it just for 1 second. As he stepped in there, one foot is in the end zone, the other foot is in the playing field. And he thought, well, maybe I could, nah, I don't know, let's just go for a run. And that's what he does best. He runs, takes a shot there right at the last minute in his back.
Steve Taylor handing it off. Wayne Ford out of Western Ontario getting his first carry.
On the right side,
and
Ford
in this one, the third quarter, the story of the football game. 29 unanswered Stampeder points.
Well, maybe the only thing that Coach Bowman can do over there is, if this game coming back in Winnipeg next week, is hope that there's not a halftime. Let's don't leave the field. Let's just continue. Let's play 60 straight minutes through.
I mean, that's amazing. Calgary's record for most points in a game was 55. They've scored 46 and a half today. Taylor wrapped up near midfield.
For the Stampeders.
1:18 to go.
He gains 3 yards.
These two teams will meet again next Sunday, and you'll see it on CBC from Winnipeg Stadium.
As was Daryl Corbin. 3rd down, Stampeders.
If this Calgary team is capable of playing a whole 60 minutes as they were this last 30 minutes, they better bring a whole stable full of horses over there, and just because that one horse will be dead at the end of the first half.
Letting the clock run down here. I'll wait till the 20-second clock's down to about 3 before they snap it to Martino. Takes a Winnipeg bounce. And now it is covered by Jakovic. And it was a tale of 2 halves for Doug Flutie today.
There is a flag down at the Winnipeg.
And a brutal afternoon turns into a pretty impressive one.
After it was covered.
At this time, Doug has a lot to prove, and as we talked about in the onset of the game, coming in here, taking on a lot of responsibility.
Calgary number 14, 5-yard penalty, first down.
To make a lot of things happen out there, coming in as a messiah. And he just showed it. He does have some tremendously human qualities about him that enable him to make errors, to make mistakes. To his credit, he corrected those things at halftime and then came back to perform extremely well in the second half.
He'll be a presenter at the Country Music Awards in Calgary tonight, although he wanted to make it quite clear yesterday that he's a rock and roller. He's into Aerosmith. And
penalty flag is down.
And he's also a drummer.
I think he likes Van Halen is one of the Van Halen, he's supposed to be a fairly confident drummer.
He says, I don't sing, but he plays in a little group with Sreko Zizakovic and Bob Torrance and a friend of Torrance's, and they will perform at the Ladies Huddle night at the Stampeders.
Number 51.
First down and 3.
That band by Zizakovic is called the Local Yokel.
How about that, Danny Bird? We couldn't give you no help, BC. No help.
No help. One of those days for James West. He hasn't been here in 3 years and probably would have preferred passing on this afternoon. He'll be back next week. Johnson trying to reel him in the hand, and Garza took a hit. They have been punishing today Alondra Johnson and Will Johnson.
And then smeared by Alondra Johnson.
That's it. Johnson & Johnson, the Band-Aid company, puts it on him, but the one thing, Will was still laying there. Alonzo's standing there. He's shaking his head like, I hit that man with everything I've got, and he got up a lot faster than I did. Right at the end of the thing, boom, the tape comes in, and there is Alonzo, and he takes a good shot at Will, and this is what happens with some of those crazy little linebackers. A lot of times, they hit their own players a lot harder than they do the other players.
Got to give Garza credit there. He came right back and challenged them again before running out of bounds.
He jumped up. He wasn't going to let it stay down like that. There's no chance in the world you're going to intimidate me. Because I've got to see you next week, and if I show it now, and then next week, you'll have the upper hand on me.
25 seconds to go. And although there are 57 points on the board, as big a story as there's been has been the front four for Calgary. And the Stampeders keep punishing those receivers even after they make a catch. Andrew Martin there with the grab. Will Matt Dunnigan be ready next week? He's the only Bomber smiling right now because he doesn't have any bruises from today's game.
And he may be smiling the only reason because he knows in his mind already, I'm not going to have to see this next week either. I may be able to rest and stay healthy at least one more week.
Hudson up
Warren
the middle.
Hudson chugs over the 50 for the Bombers. Gain is about 5.
Bombers won both meetings last year.
Bringing down the big Winnipeg fullback.
And had won 3 of 4, 7 of the last 10 against Calgary, but not today.
But if this third matchup out of 4 back-to-back holds true, then it should be just a great game with Calgary and Winnipeg next week.
And that just put a punctuation mark on the end of the game. Alondra Johnson. Well, it was a tough day for Doug Flutie, but he persevered and then turned it into quite an afternoon. 57-29 final, and I don't think I've ever seen a team put 46 points on the board in a half.
Well, without a doubt, it was a matter of going in at the halftime, making an adjustment, coming out there both offensively and defensively and specialty teams, every phase of this team contributing to the victory today, Chris.
Tim Cofield was brilliant on one side. Will Johnson might have been even better on the other side of the front 4 for Calgary. It was a complete performance by the Stampeders in the second half. Alan Pitts had a touchdown pass. Pee Wee Smith had a big catch for a touchdown and a return. Quite a day for Calgary. Mark?
Indeed it was, Chris, as the Stampeders take over sole possession of first place in the West with a team record 57 points, beating Winnipeg 57-29. The Eskimos, who went into this game in a tie with Calgary for first in the West, losing this afternoon in Regina, the final there, Saskatchewan 22, Edmonton 18. Thanks for watching. For Chris and Dan, this is Mark Lee saying so long from McMahon Stadium in Calgary.
This is CBC Television.